everybody? Welcome to the 53rd episode of Directly to You, our Nintendo podcast that we do every single week. And just like every single week, except for that one time where he was dead, I'm joined by Parker. What's up?
Hello, everybody. It's Parker here. Yeah, that's me.
Totally not a fake Parker. Didn't replace him. Didn't replace him when he died. Didn't do that. Speaking of Parker dying, I don't know how that segues into that, but you can support the channel by becoming a member on YouTube.com/.
Is that a threat, AJ? It better not be. If they don't support.
I mean, possibly.
If you don't
like
support
Parker,
and I disappear,
Do you like Parker? Do you like Parker? Click that join button on youtube.com/Fanatics4. For doing that, you can get exclusive perks like loyalty badges and emotes and gaming time with us and Switch keys and whatnot. Speaking of that, I gotta dump a few in the supporters only Discord. I got a few that are just sitting there. I gotta do that. I thought that I had another 8-Ball key, which would have been dope because that game is real good. But they just emailed me again and was like, "Hey, did you use this key? You should use it. The game's good." I'm like, yeah, I got it. But yeah, beside that, you could support us if you're an audio only listener and you never saw a YouTube video in your life. You can support us on Anchor with the listener support program, anywhere from $1 to $10. You don't get as much stuff for that. So I would, just full transparency, I would advise you to go to youtube.com/Fanatics4 and do that. Eventually, Grimhain pointed out in the comments, eventually you will be able to subscribe to Twitch Prime. If you have Amazon Prime, you have Twitch Prime, which means you can subscribe for free and support the streaming endeavors, you know? But right now I'm having a hold up, because Twitch has me in tax interview limbo, and they have no support. Like, they have no support team dedicated to the problem that I'm having.
Man, that's so frustrating.
100%. They depreciated that support. So every time I email the email that it's telling me to email, they're like, "Oh yeah, we don't do that anymore." So I just have to sit here until somebody does something and moves the process along. But apart from that, how you doing, Parker?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, just hanging out. I got to join in your video this week, and that was a whole lot of fun.
That was cool. I was supposed to be in yours, but you ghosted me, man. You didn't give me details. You weren't like, "Oh, hey, this is how we do this. This is what we're doing."
Well, there's always this next week. There's a lot better, well, not just better, but like more games coming out this week, so there will be more content to be able to do that with.
Hint, hint.
Indeed. But yeah, otherwise doing all right. Just hanging out. What about you?
Speaking of content, I got some of Nintendo's newest.
Yeah.
Hashtag free game product provided by Nintendo and all that good and dear stuff. In my email, I got Kirby Epic Yarn, extra Epic Yarn. And I like it. I like it because of what they added to it, which, I mean, just generally Kirby's, I mean, I'm notorious for not liking at least the later Kirby games,
right,
particularly Kirby Star Allies, because they're real toothless and uninteresting.
Yeah.
This game, even without the additions, which have you heard about any of the new stuff that they added to this game?
I know there's a devilish mode, which I guess is just a harder mode. Is that unlocked from the get-go?
Yes. So when you select a level, it immediately takes you into like, okay, what level of difficulty do you want? Do you want the normal difficulty, or do you want devilish mode?
That's nice, because I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Star Allies had a harder mode, but you had to beat the game in the regular mode first to be able to do any of that stuff.
It had a harder mode in like post.
Oh, gotcha.
They added
a patch
that
a bunch of months later. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And even then, it's like nowhere near what this is, and it's not even necessarily that this is like super hard. I would say that maybe make it a little bit easier, and that could be just like the standard difficulty for the game.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Really, the thing that is cool about it and that I like is not that it's harder, because again, That's not my major complaint with Kirby. I don't have a problem with it being an easier game. Yoshi, for instance, is not the hardest game in the world. Mario is not the hardest game in the world. But both of those games are more mechanically interesting than Kirby, because you can literally jump through the entirety of most of the games. And that is another thing that I think this game has over most Kirby games, most recent Kirby games especially, is that you don't have that ability anymore. So you can't do like the several jumps. You have like one jump, I think, even, and then you have the parachute. So you can't just like hover over every enemy in the world and be done with it. So like even if you're doing the normal difficulty, it's still not like as uninteresting as the other Kirby games are. But like you mentioned, the devilish mode adds another layer to that, where it's like it's almost like this continuous boss battle. And I really like that mechanic. I wish that they changed it a little bit in terms of like from level to level, like kind of themed it more. Because like
the specific mechanic is what I saw a tiny bit of gameplay of it. There's like a thing kind of always chasing you or something, like a bullet bill looking thing. Okay.
So I assume it's the devil, dude. He's devilish. He's a devil of some sort, and he's like chasing you, and you can like momentarily thwart him because there's like almost copy ability sort of things where it's like these hats, and you can like grab onto them with your yarn, and then it gives Kirby different abilities and stuff like that. You can use those to hurt him, or there's like environmental things like enemies that shoot like rockets at you and stuff. You can grab those with your yarn and throw them at him, and then that'll like put him on chill mode for like a couple of seconds, and then he'll keep coming after you. And it kind of like forces you to like move quicker, because like you can't really, just with your typical abilities, like without one of those hats, you can't just go after him and be like, oh, I'm just going to take this dude out so I don't have to worry about him. You have, because he runs away from you. You have to have one of those abilities, or have something like the rocket to be able to like pursue him. So he kind of just keeps you moving forward, because you can't go backwards to try to slow him down. He just moves forward to push you forward.
Gotcha. That's a good way to do that. I feel it actually, as you're saying that, it reminds me a little bit of at the end of World 3 in Celeste, I think, where it's the hotel world where like at the end there's the boss guy chasing you.
Right. Also, just like I mean, that's a general trope. Period. You know, like it's like kind of like the Indiana Jones rock trailing you sort of situation. So something as simple as like a scrolling screen. Right.
Yeah. Which is more like what Mario typically would do, is just like have an auto scrolling like Butter Bridge or whatever. But yeah, that Celeste level, as I was playing it, I don't know. I feel dumb, but for some reason I thought it was just a one screen boss battle thing, and like the screen doesn't start to scroll until you walk through the right side of the screen over to the next pane. So I was like hanging out and kept jumping on him and like trying to beat him, because same thing, you can like temporarily make him go away and then he comes right back. And so I just kept doing that over and over and over and over and over and over, and I was like, how many do you have to do this like 10 times in a row for it to work? And then I finally like just kind of walked a little further right, and there was another screen, and there's a bunch more screens. So
you were just embarrassed for the rest of the time.
Pretty much, yeah.
You're like looking around like, did anybody see that?
Yeah, which it was still challenging, but a more fun kind of challenge than the annoying thing that I thought it was in the first place.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's cool. Do you feel like if it weren't for the devilish mode, you would still be having fun with it in the normal way?
I mean, I'm very early on in the game. Like I beat like the first world and a half. Because, I mean, again, I got this today.
Yeah, right.
So I played it like a little bit, really until my 3DS started dying. And I was like, I got to bury out my charger. Are you kidding me? And then once that happened, I was like, okay, I think I have enough to like at least give impressions on this game. To say that if you have a 3DS that's also buried, you can just get that dust off of it, play this game. It's a nice little game. But yeah, without the devilish mode, I think it's better than Star Allies, but it's not something that I could see myself, at least with what I have so far with the world and a half or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not something I could see myself burying out my 3DS for.
Right. Still probably a Kirby game, all things considered, so kind of easy, family friendly, and everything Nintendo's family friendly pretty much, but
right.
Yeah, not
which is like the main thing for me. Like, I hate that everybody's main like retort to me being like, Kirby's toothless and uninteresting. Everybody's like, well, it's a kid's game. And it's like, I don't remember Nintendo specifically like saying that Kirby in particular is for people that are younger than the people that Mario is for.
Right, yeah.
You know? Like, that's just like this category that Nintendo fans put on Kirby because it just so happens to be the toothless one. Which is like,
I think, and because he's a pink puffball kind of thing, maybe some of that too. It's just like the persona, it looks like it should be an easier game, and so they maybe have leaned into that more for that reason too.
Yeah, but I mean, like, Earthbound looks like a Saturday morning cartoon, and we're fighting abortion, so like, looks can be deceiving sometimes.
Pretty much.
I think that every Nintendo game, period, should have some level of, this is the mode for the kids and this is the mode for the other people,
right?
You know, because that's their whole thing. Is like, for the longest time, they're like, whether you're 9 or 99, you'll enjoy our game, you know, like that whole thing. There's no middle ground in most Kirby games. So give us a devilish mode in every one of them. How about that? How about that?
I think
even if it's something as simple as like, because it's not like, I mean, I'm sure that there was like debugging and like different level design stuff to make sure that everything translates well. But if you have this consistent factor that's like, this is what makes this level or these levels just generally harder, just do that and put that into all Yoshi, Kirby, Mario, Donkey Kong, etc., all of them. Give us, well, for like Donkey Kong, you might want to do an easier mode.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But yeah, like all those games, if it's too hard, typically for most people, like a Donkey Kong, put an easier mode. If it's too easy, typically put a harder mode.
Yep. I mean, like, some of the things I've been playing this week, Pokemon, I'll talk more about, I don't know, whatever. But I also went back and was doing some of the NES games just because there's a bunch of them that I never had an NES, so there's a bunch of them I just never played. So, like, Ninja Gaiden is famously a little more challenging. But I don't know. I have things to say on that anyway. But one of them was Kirby, and just now before we were recording, I was playing Super Mario Bros. 2, and like, those are both all are kids games, all things considered, just like most Nintendo stuff is. But I still died a decent amount in the little bit that I played, and I'm using save states because I'm just trying to have fun with it.
See, and that's the thing. Like, the original Kirby games are not as easy as the newer Kirby games, and like, that was just generally like an accepted thing back in our day, you know, like that whole thing where, like, up until I'd say like the GameCube era, even games were just harder, you know. And it's like, it's not this like handholdy thing of like, oh, they're kids. It's like, nah, I was literally, and everybody's like shocked when I tell them this and they don't believe me. The first game I ever beat was Lion King on the SNES, and everybody's like, but that game's hard. I'm like, yeah, I was a child and I didn't do it was either play the game, go outside, and that's what I had to do. So it's like, if I'm playing the game, that's the game I'm playing.
Yeah.
So eventually I get good enough to beat it, you know?
I think it's kind of multifaceted too, because there's a certain element to where just I don't know. Well, nowadays games are a lot more polished, so hitboxes are more obvious, and like, things are just generally more fair, probably.
Right.
Whereas the games back then, it wasn't a question that they weren't fair. Some of it was on purpose. Like playing Ninja Gaiden, there's some stuff in there that was
a lot of it was on purpose, just because of like the arcade era and like, let's squeeze every quarter out of this small child.
Yeah, but I mean, and so some of that was for the arcade reasons, and also just for replayability. So it's like, okay, this is the only game you're going to have for 6 months or whatever, so we'll make sure that it takes you a while to actually get through it, and you can have fun with it for a long time. So you end up spending a lot more time, trying to beat it that way, as opposed to now a lot more games are kind of like, press A to win sort of stuff. And probably because thinking about like combo based games or something like that, it is fun mechanically to just like, oh, I'm pressing all these buttons and the character's doing cool stuff. But there's a certain level to where if you dumb that down too much to where you don't really even have to do anything at all, then that's pretty lame at that point.
Yeah. And I just can't see that being any different. You know, like the idea that like most people is like, oh, this is the only game I'm going to get for like the next 3 to 6 months.
Right.
Because like as far as averages go, that checks out on the Switch.
Yeah.
Because the average player has about 4 games, and that's an average. So that means that most people have less than that, because you have people like me, or I'd assume you, that have like 20 plus.
I just counted on my Switch earlier because I was curious, and I've got 43, I think.
Yeah.
So like
installed, I have like 65.
Yeah.
And a lot of the games I no longer have are like, I mean, obviously I still own them,
right? But
like they're like the bigger games, like the Wolfensteins, or like just the stuff that I don't want to have on my SD cards because I'm probably not going to play it anytime soon. I have so many games,
yeah.
So it's just like not that many people are buying that many games. So like to give everybody the most possible bang for their buck, because you just might be their one game.
Yeah, right.
Like do it, you know?
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's why system sellers are system sellers, is because people are like, this is the game that I'm going to spend some time playing. And if they bought a Switch for Mario Tennis Aces, and then like 3 days later we're like, well, I finished the story mode and I played online a little bit, you know, like at that point, I mean, I had fun with it and I enjoyed the story mode to some degree, but it just wasn't something, I don't know, it wasn't expansive. And, you know,
right.
I have, you know, all sorts of things I could probably say about it, but all in all, I agree. But I'm glad there is the devilish mode in Kirby's Epic Yarn in any case.
Yeah, put it on the Switch, Nintendo. Put it on the Switch.
I will say before we get out of what we've been playing, so my friend and I did our first gym battles for each other,
right?
Because I mentioned that last week. So I had a lot of fun with mine. Well, the one that he made for me was I don't know if you'll be able to get. I wasn't able to guess the theme of it, but he had 4 Pokemon in his party. And it was Articuno, Ninetales.
That's a jacked up first gym.
So yeah, it was Articuno, Ninetales, Wigglytuff, and Poliwrath. And I could not figure out the theme. And I'm not even going to try to make a guess, but it was the Star Fox cast, more or less.
Wow.
Which I was like, that's really fun. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. And
I'm kind of mad you didn't let me guess that.
Well, I'll let you guess next time.
It's too late now.
Yeah, it is too late. But yeah, it took me forever to even try to get close. And he accidentally at one point he was like, "Well, it's got Star Fox on Ninetales." Man. And I was like, "Oh, you said it. That's the one." And mine, I just made.
He could have just been like when you guys started the battle, been like, "Good luck."
I don't know. You could do a barrel roll. That would be way too obvious, but
yeah, that would have been obvious.
Yeah. So, and mine was mostly kind of just trolly. It didn't work out nearly like I wanted it to. He had played some online with, against randos or whatever. And the first guy he played against had the kind of standard competitive team, started with an Aerodactyl using stealth rocks and stuff. And so it was just like, and he just got frustrated about it.
Stealth Rock is real dumb in that game.
Yeah. So my team, because he told me about that, I was like, let's have some fun. So I made a team of all pretty much rock Pokemon that had stealth rocks. You can only use it once, but I was just like, this is gonna be fun. So I used it like 5 times or 6 times in there, just thematically to have fun. And then I tried to just use like Whirlwind and Roar a bunch to get his Pokemon switched out, but they have super low priority, so it only worked like 3 times. But he played along, and sometimes he was like, I should probably switch out right now. And so, yeah, we had a good time. We beat each other's shins, needless to say.
Speaking of scum, so I've been playing Smash Brothers.
Smash Brothers.
And I streamed Smash Brothers Wednesday on the weekly stream, and I played with the community, and one of our supporters, Falcon, who has been a long time supporter. I played with him more off stream, and he's like, he goes to like tournaments and stuff like that. So he's like,
oh, nice.
He's like really good at the game. And he just was like, and he always does. He was like badgering me, like, you need to go off stage more and stuff like that. And it's like, I go off stage a lot, but I don't go off stage like on the competitive, like just straight up run off the stage, you know? He's like, no, if they're off stage, you need to be off stage. Usually I'll go off stage if it's like, I can edge guard this dude and he's not going to do anything. But he means literally every time they're on stage, you need to be there. So we played a bunch of matches and we were just being straight up scummy. You know, like we had so many, because like that's what we did. Like if somebody was on stage, like, nope, I'm stage spiking you, I'm going to run off, I'm going, you know, it's like, it was really fun. I need to play Smash Brothers with him more. He's really good.
Yeah, that's fun to get just kind of a different experience too, of just somebody who plays completely different style or whatever.
Yeah, because like I feel like 90% of the time, if I play against somebody, especially like viewers and stuff like that, I'm probably gonna win. Yeah, like I was playing in the Wolf Den community game night or whatever when they were playing Smash Brothers, because usually like it's weird because they do this every week and they like rotate games and stuff like that, but like every time, or not every time, but most times when they're playing Smash Brothers, I'm just already on there. But when they play literally anything else, my Switch is off and I'm like researching or doing something for a video. So it's like, it's weird. It's weird. But like when I play with them, I'd say like the majority of me playing, I just feel bad eventually. And it's like, I can't play anymore because I'm just sitting, I'm just like controller hogging essentially. Yeah. Because nobody's winning. So it's like, I just get to the point where it's like, I still want to play this game, but like, I don't want to be in here because I want to let you guys fight each other. So it was nice playing against Falcon where it was like most times I was losing, but it got to a point where it's like, okay, I'm going to play how you play. And then we're going back and forth. Yeah. Right. So yeah, that was cool.
Nice.
Speaking
of things that are cool,
are we starting with this?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so speaking of things that are cool,
yeah,
you already know because it's the internet, and we have to tell you what the headline thing is, but we're doing something different. And we're going to have Parker tell you about it.
That's right. Okay, so I came up with this thing, and it's going to be fun, hopefully. The premise is called Use It or Lose It. I don't know if we'll put that in a thumbnail or not thumbnail, but you know.
I'll put it in the title. Why not?
Cool.
That sounds YouTube-y enough. That sounds like a good mythical morning title.
Yeah. So it's a little game. I've got a bunch of... we're going to start out with just first-party ones this week. Maybe we'll get to some third-party games later, but we'll go through 5 first-party Nintendo franchises that haven't shown up on the Switch yet, or just haven't been around in a little while, but pretty much just haven't shown up on the Switch, and say if we think they are going to use it on the Switch, or in, I don't know, haven't figured out exactly the rules, but, you know, like, in the next 10 years or so, pretty much if this franchise is dead or not. And if so, we just guess at what year a game will come out for this franchise. And if not, I mean, it's dead. So that's the premise. And yeah, let's kick it off strong. Number 1, Mario Strikers. And I'll say so the last one too. I've got the last game was 2007 on the Wii, and it was Mario Strikers Charged.
Okay, yeah, I think they're going to lose it. If we're talking like next few years, or you said 10 years?
Yeah.
Okay, 10. I still think lose it. I don't think we'll get that. I think that it makes a lot of sense, but like at the same time, it just doesn't seem like they have a whole lot of like love for that series. Like we had the last one we got was 12 years ago, and it's not like a Metroid or anything like that where it's just like the cursed game that doesn't sell or that's hard to develop or whatever. They just don't make them frequently. Like if we're going to get a sports game, it's going to be golf or tennis, you know?
Yep. I also think that we will probably lose that one and that we will not get another Mario Strikers. Yeah, I'll stick with that. I mean, pretty much like you said, I think Camelot is kind of behind on a number of their franchises. They just came back with Mario Tennis for first time in a little while. I mean, they had Ultra Smash, and they'd been working on stuff before that. And I guess we'll see if they have like, I don't know, Mario Golf this year or something like that. But it seems like probably that wouldn't happen this year, and that all just getting pushed back. I feel like they'll have other priorities to keep up, and that one's just kind of fallen by the wayside, would be my guess. So yeah, Mario Strikers.
I'm surprised that Camelot is not like the studio for Mario Sonic at the Olympic Games, just because of their like corporate structure. Like the fact that they're owned by Sega, but they just make Nintendo games. Like that just seems like the studio that you put on that game.
I didn't even know they were owned by Sega. That's I mean, I knew they were second party kind of. But yeah, that is. So who does make the Mario and Sonic at the Olympic games?
I don't know. Let's check that, shall we? Sonic. No, it's Mario, because Mario's more important. Mario, Sonic.
True.
Olympic Games. Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. Okay, here it is. Publisher, developer, Sega Sports R&D.
Wow, okay. I mean, I guess, interestingly enough, I suspect that Nintendo has licensed out Mario more often than Sega has Sonic. I don't know. I could be wrong with that, but I feel like that's probably correct.
I mean, I guess it depends on like what you mean by license. Yes. Because
I mean, like Mario and Rabbids is an example.
Okay, because Sega just has like this open policy of like, hey, if you make something good, make it, and well, it's fine, it's good, man, because we don't know how to make good Sonic games. You crazy? What do you think we invented it or something like that?
Do you think we would maybe know something about when it was good and try to go back to that somehow and have connections of some sorts?
Preposterous. Just because we made it doesn't mean we know how to make it, okay?
Yeah, come on. Absolutely. But yeah, no, you're right. Camelot makes sense for that. I mean, Logan talked about Mario and Sonic recently, so that was a thing.
That's true.
Yep. Go watch that video, people. Watching videos. Yeah.
Yeah, watch it.
So that's number 1, Mario Strikers. Number 2, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon.
Use it.
Yep. So then in that case, what year do you think it's coming out? And I'll give some background. Last one was 2016, and it was Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon on the 3DS.
I think it's going to be by the end of 2020.
Okay.
Just because they typically use that IP around the release of a major Pokemon game. So it just makes sense to update it with the Galar Pokemon, or Galar. I was gonna do like the like the Alolan situation. I don't know what they call those. The Galar and the Galarian.
Galarian? Galarian. I bet Galarian. That's my guess.
Who knows, man? So I'd say 2020.
Okay. So I also think use it. It's been pretty steady. I don't think it's something that'll just die with the 3DS. Like, I think there are some franchises that might die with the 3DS that were, that's just what's going to happen. But I think that one's probably going to make its way over. I think it's definitely going to make its way over. And I'd venture to guess maybe this year, only because it looks like it was, it's been about 3 years between, well, okay. I'll say that, but with a bit of a caveat, I guess, because it's been about 3 years between releases prior to this. Like you said, kind of comes out at the same time as the mainline games. But then also, what was I going to say? I don't remember. That Pokemon company, or that somebody, maybe it was Masuda, said in their last thing, and we've got a lot more Pokemon stuff, or we're excited.
That's true.
That kind of stuff for this year, which
that's true.
Could be this, or it could be something different. I'd personally be maybe more excited if it was, I don't know. Depends on what something different
I mean,
it is.
another inside baseball thing is Nintendo specifically does not make this game.
Right.
It's Spike Chunsoft that makes these games, and I'm pretty sure they did say that they have multiple games in the works for Switch. So it would make sense. It would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think so. The only thing that makes me think maybe it wouldn't be this year too is with the 3-year release cycle thing. Maybe working on the Switch, graphically or whatever, is more taxing on them to be able to do that by this year. I don't know.
Yeah,
So
I mean, it really just depends on how they go about doing it, because it looks like Game Freak, at least, is sticking to their guns on their current models,
right? Yeah.
And like I said in my video, it's not crazy to think that they would do that, because the models in the 3DS generation were overkill,
right.
especially for the 3DS.
Yeah.
They already had these assets in 1080p. The 3DS isn't doing that.
Do you figure, one should assume that was on purpose, right? That they knew.
Yeah,
okay.
100%.
Yeah.
For sure.
Just future-proofing themselves.
Yes, because who wouldn't future-proof themselves when modeling 800 things,
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
All right, so Pokemon Mystery Dungeon coming out sometime tomorrow. It's coming out tomorrow.
Confirmed.
All right, next up, number 3 of 5. Number 3, Rhythm Heaven. And I'll give some background if that helps at all.
I think they'll use it, but continue.
Yeah, so the last new one was Rhythm Heaven Fever in 2012, but then in 2016 there was kind of the equivalent of WarioWare Gold or Super Mario the Top 100, that kind of thing, where just chucked a whole bunch of them together. So yeah, and that was in 2016.
I think they'll use it. I think it's going to be with some nonsense where it's Japan only for a year and a half or something like that. But I think they'll use it.
Yeah. When, what year do you think it will come out, if so?
2022.
All right. Yeah, I think use it. I think next year, 2020, is what I think. Although I don't know much about the background or whatever, but I've heard people say that somebody that does the music for all of it is, I don't know, either left or maybe passed away or something like that. Or I could be making that up. I don't really know. But nevertheless, just if Sakurai stopped making Smash, they keep making Smash kind of logic, that's not going to entirely affect it just because somebody's not there.
Yeah.
So. All right, cool.
Even with Metroid, of all things, because the first thing that went to my mind to refute that was Smash Brothers is an easy 15 million.
Right.
So, but again, Metroid, they kept making that after Gunpei Yokoi passed away. So
yeah, I definitely didn't know his name, but now I do. Thanks.
Yeah, he made the Game Boy. You had to know his name.
Oh well, now I do. Good job.
He made a lot of their handheld, every handheld was he had a heavy hand in, except for maybe the 3DS. But even the 3DS obviously has lineage with things that they've done in the past.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. All right. Number 4. This one. This is kind of right across the plate. I think all 4. All right. Here you go. Pokemon Snap.
Lose it.
Last one came out in 1999.
Brave.
I think definitely lose it. Unfortunately, I think it seems to me that they are hoping that some things that we liked about Pokemon Snap, they can just put somewhere else and get in Pokemon Go.
Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
Pokemon Go.
And that counts as the same thing. But
it's because and they spoke to this several times where Pokemon Snap was really something that they did because photography used to be this distant novelty of isn't that neat, taking pictures and having a camera everywhere you go. Now everybody has a camera everywhere they go. Right. So it's as far as they're concerned. I know a lot of people are no, but I want that. It doesn't matter. I want to take pictures of Pokemon. But for them it's just it doesn't seem this detached enough thing.
Yeah. I suspect that we won't see another Pokemon Snap. However, I think like what made Pokemon Snap special, of as far as just being kind of in the world of Pokemon or whatever, I think that they will try to, not with this Pokemon game, but maybe even with the next Let's Go, that they would like try to kind of do, almost a spiritual successor in some ways, where like it feels more like you're in that world or whatever.
I mean, I'd agree with that, because I feel like Pokemon Let's Go just in general feels like their testing bed,
right?
And like we won't really know this until their next big Pokemon game, because they do kind of operate on this like TikTok,
right?
Like succession of like development, where it's like one team's doing something and they're like, I'm not telling you nothing. I'm not telling you anything, and then the other team's like, oh, same, ditto. And then they'll play, like the other team's like, okay, I'll play your game, and then they play it and they're like, oh, I'm gonna work this into the next thing. So like, I can see them, like the current team that's working on Sword and Shield, being like, oh yeah, this is neat, I'll use this in the next thing. So yeah, I think the thing with Pokemon Snap, I mean, really what it was that we cared about it was seeing Pokemon being immersed in a 3D environment with Pokemon, where we could, like have control of a camera and stuff, and now in a different sense. But I think that will come back. And so I think we'll feel okay with not having another Pokemon Snap. I'm okay with it already. Oh yeah, I'm just going to be real with you. Pokemon Snap ain't that great. Yeah. But I mean, sure, take pictures. You can throw stuff at Pokemon, and it also makes Charmander. You could throw Charmander into a volcano. Yeah, or Charmeleon. I think the fact that we have so many Pokemon also just complicates it now. That's probably a thing. Granted, they didn't use all the Pokemon in Pokemon Snap either. That's true. I mean, they could just pick the ones that everybody cares about. Yeah, accurate. All right, last but not least, my voice just cracked a little. That's fun. This one we may or may not have different opinions on. Which one was least? Hold on, just to alienate you, since this is last but not least, which one was least for you? Least was probably Rhythm Heaven for me. Okay, that's probably safe. Safe. This actually, for me, this is last and most important. Well, the Golden Sun. It's Golden Sun, isn't it? Golden Sun. Oh my god, kill it. All right. I don't know. What do you think? Possibly, I guess. But like, that's not an answer, AJ. That's flaky. Lose it. Okay. Just because I want to hurt you and Justin on a personal level. Both of you. Possibly Logan, but like Logan probably acts like he likes Golden Sun, but he doesn't really know what Golden Sun is, kind of like Box Boy. Oh my goodness, that was so great. I enjoyed that a lot. Yeah. Okay, you think lose it. I'm just going to stick to my guns and hope beyond all hope that they use it. Goodness knows when. I think they're going to use a golden gun and kill it with one shot. Am I right? Oh. Burn. Shots fired. Yeah. Okay, so Golden Sun. I think use it. And I think they're going to lose it because Sakurai made him an assist trophy, and everybody knows that if a character's an assist trophy, nobody cares about that character. That's anymore. True. That's why Waluigi doesn't even exist. That's definitely true. That. That's why King of Cards keeps getting delayed, because Shovel Knight's an assist trophy now. His motivation is gone. They keep being like, "Come on, Shovel Knight, just get out there, get out front." And he's like, "No, man, I just can't handle that anymore." Like, did you? Oh, okay. So, this is a comment from like a video I made a long time ago, but it's super relevant. The Shovel Knight video that I made, that was like, I thought it was a pretty clear joke that I was joking. That like, this is like a offense that I'll never recover from. Somebody was like, you can't be, and again, like, this is kind of defending the joke, which makes, I'd assume he thinks that I'm serious because I defended the joke. But he's like, you can't be like, what did I say? Reduced. You can't be reduced to being an assist trophy if you were never a fighter. And I'm like, dude, I don't know if you've ever spoken English before, but it's relative. So like the fact that he's being reduced, to me, is that he's more important than being an assist trophy.
Right.
Not that he used to be more than assist trophy and now he's not one. It's
More
he's
deserving,
this, like,
maybe. Or,
right.
Yeah.
Right. He's this iconic gaming character, you know, for all intents and purposes. More people know who Shovel Knight is than know who, say, Lucas actually is.
Yeah, true.
You know, like they know him from Smash Brothers, but they've never actually played his game. Like even in Japan, you know, like Earthbound and Mother and all that stuff. Like it's a popular game in theory, but not actually in sales.
Right.
Like Shovel Knight alone has sold more than the entirety of the Mother series.
Yeah.
So like in terms of relevance, he's for sure being reduced.
Yeah.
But I just thought that was an interesting take on that comment.
You've reduced Golden Sun to mere shadows of a hope.
I mean, to be fair, we would be reducing Camelot if they made a Golden Sun game instead of making another Mario sports game. Let's be real here.
No, man, it would be so good. I think my real guess is that there's 1 to 2 Mario sports games between now and next Golden Sun. I don't know what the timeline of that exactly would be. Probably 2021, because I don't know. It just seems reasonable that would be it.
Just put 4 guys on the next Golden Sun game and make it a mobile game.
No, I'll be so sad. Man.
Just think about it, Parker. If they did that,
Who even
then
wants to
maybe, just maybe, it'll get enough downloads and everybody falls in love with the series, and then they're like, okay, on the Nintendo Swap, we're going to put Golden Sun Revenge on it.
Golden Sun shooting to the moon. I don't know. Yeah, man, I just really like Golden Sun, but whatever. That's all right. You know what other things we like, but are get reduced to not. Well, by the way, that was the end of Use It or Lose It. Hope you guys enjoyed. Comment down below or somewhere else.
Where do you think they'll use and or lose? Some
of these, maybe
all of them, both. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense.
Nah, it works. Whatever. Some other things we think are cool, but are sometimes reduced to nothing. Sonic the Hedgehog.
Do we think Sonic's cool?
I don't know.
I'm joking.
He's like, cool. He's a cool guy. You know.
Again, he's cool in theory.
Yeah. Right. Gaming confession. I have never.
How dare you? Yeah. How dare you?
It's all that. I've never actually bought a Sonic game. Like I've got a couple. Actually, that's not true because I have some of them that I bought from. I bought my friend's GameCube collection so yeah, I've got that. And
disclose the amount so I can judge your friend.
Yeah. So now I've got a bunch of Sonic games, but I've never actually beaten one. There you go. There's that.
I used to love Sonic, and not like again in theory, like as a character more so than the game.
Right.
I think there are definitely good Sonic games. I don't think there's as many as some people think, but they're not as bad as like I don't know some people at IGN would have you believe.
Right.
Where it's like there's never been a good Sonic game, like that whole thing. It's like nah, it's not. I don't know about that.
I think
Sonic's like he's a cooler character than his games let on.
Right. And I mean just on the games topic for Sonic, like the base mechanics of what Sonic is just I think is more polarizing than something like Mario or something like that. Not because it's just the kind of platformer it is, that it's a little bit more, I don't know, to me at least, if it makes me feel like kind of like a Majora's Mask where there's the time element in that, and it makes you feel like you're in a rush and stuff. I feel when I'm playing any Sonic game, that feeling that like I'm supposed to be going fast or you know doing things.
I think that a lot of people, and this is like Bob's pet peeve, whenever somebody's like Sonic's about going fast and Bob's like, but it's not though, it's a platformer, and it's like I'm somewhere in the middle of that because it definitely is about going fast,
right?
But it's not about going fast in the way that like it's somehow not good at being what it is advertising itself as, because a lot of people think that being fast is like again, the point of the game, but speed is a reward in Sonic.
Yes,
you're
absolutely.
doing really good, so therefore you can go fast.
Yep.
It's not like just inherently you should be able to. Like, the reason why it's a lot of stop and go is just because you're not good enough to know which path is the one that you can just run through, you know?
Yeah. I think, to me, there's aspects of it that remind me of like a runner kind of game where, I mean, except for a lot more, you know, platformy than that, because that's just an auto-scrolling rhythm game where you're, you know, jumping on beat and stuff, whereas this has more mechanics than that by a long shot.
Right.
But I think still feels like once you get the rhythm memorized of stuff, you are, like you said, you're rewarded for that. But I just like, you know, like one reason why I love Breath of the Wild is because I can just slowly explore as much stuff as I want. I really like exploration in games. Like, just that concept is just a lot of fun, where I get rewarded for taking my time as opposed to getting rewarded for, you know, memorizing the patterns of when to jump and stuff like that, which right. Again, I'm sure there's a way to play Sonic more towards my play style, but it's just not at the forefront of how the kind of game UI and all that stuff is designed. Like, it's not showing you that on the, you know, from the get-go. But nevertheless, they're great games. I'm sure some of them are great games. I'm sure they're just not really what I've sunk my time into at all. But we're not talking about the games. We're talking about Sonic the movie and the screenshots for that. Man, are you more or less worried now? I don't know about worried. Maybe that's too strong of a word, but you know what I mean.
I think he looks real dumb, but I mean, to like Logan's point in the video that he made about that, it's not really about that.
Yeah.
Whether or not the movie's going to be good or not. Like, I feel like a lot of people are going to want to like judge it on that and say like, oh, but he looks stupid. But like, the movie could be phenomenal,
right?
You know, like, he could look dumb, but it just like it's not. Movies aren't like it's not a graphical video game. You know, it's not like, oh, the graphics aren't good,
right? Yeah.
And even those is like judging it by how it looks is stupid. So like on that end, it's like, I think he looks dumb, but I don't think that has any real bearing on like the quality of the movie.
Yeah. And I think stills also just aren't necessarily the best indicator of what he's actually going to look like. Like, I think there's a lot of Pokemon that if I'd seen for Detective Pikachu, if I'd seen their stills before I'd seen anything of the rest of the movie, like even Detective Pikachu, in some of the scenes, if I'd seen his stills, I'd be like, that's a weird amount of fur or whatever. But then as soon as he moved at all, I'm like, oh, he's Pikachu, you know? Less so for sure, because his model just does look better than Sonic's does.
Yeah, I think that, and that was another thing to Bob's point, when he was talking about this, which I didn't catch Wolf Den live, so I don't know his like in-depth thoughts on it, but I know that he was pretty much saying that he thinks it looks good, but not good. He thinks it looks better than a lot of people are letting on. And I mean, I kind of disagree with that. I think that obviously everything on the internet is overblown and over exaggerated.
Always.
But yeah, but like I definitely think it looks bad. He also said though that he thinks that overall people are going to be more accepting of this because Pokemon, like Detective Pikachu, looks kind of weird, but I don't think Detective Pikachu looks weird. I think Detective Pikachu looks great for what it is. I think there are select Pokemon that are kind of like, well, that was a weird choice, like Jigglypuff.
Right.
Like, that was a weird choice to how to like represent that. But it still looks very much so like Jigglypuff. And not like this weird approximation of like, if I were to show you this Jigglypuff, it wouldn't be like, what is that? Like, but if like with zero context, I showed you this Sonic, you would immediately think it was fan art, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it wouldn't be like, oh yeah, this is obviously this like blockbuster film that's like signed off by Sega and everything, you know? So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't have super deep thoughts about it. I'm excited to see a trailer and see him in action because, again, I think that will make it better. And also, if theoretically there's more polish to be done between whatever screenshots we've seen, like, we don't know how old the leaks technically are, but some of them, it's the promotional material, so it seems like they're pretty accurate to what's the latest. But I think still seeing him in action will be a thing. But you're right. I mean, otherwise, and again, like Logan had said too, it's movies are about movies. Movies aren't about, we can still watch movies that, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like bad movie from, well, it's not a bad movie, but like the movie Willow. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but it's from like 1983 or something, and it's kind of a Lord of the Rings-ish story. And it's great. It's really cheesy, but it's a lot of fun. And you know, it's got 1983 or whatever graphics in it, and
Yeah.
but it's fun. And like, you know, some stuff in Star Wars is kind of, you know, where I'm trying to think of examples because I can't think of one on the top of my head.
I mean, yeah, some of Star Wars looks rough.
Yeah.
Especially like the post-release, like, you know, like the only like footage that anybody has because they like buried the theatrical release.
Yep.
A lot of that stuff looks rough.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like people still love those movies.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So,
But I mean, on another note, I'm kind of upset that they didn't go with the like. I guess that was supposed to be like key art almost with the Sonic that has like Chris Pratt. You know, did you see that one?
No.
Okay, let me DM you. This is like somebody's thumbnail, but you get the idea. Here we go.
Wait, is Chris Pratt in this movie?
No, he's not. But it was like them being like pitching the movie to be like, this is what the vibe of the movie should be.
Oh, right. Yeah. That one. The one where he's chilling back in the back of the car.
I think this would have been a way better look for Sonic. It doesn't look like the Sonic that everybody knows, but it looks good, you know? And if they want to like movie it up and make them look Hollywood in whatever way, I think that was a good route to go. But they kind of try to stay too close to what they think Sonic is, but make these weird like creative liberties and stuff like how his eyes are.
Yeah.
If they wanted to do like, because one eyeball, it just wouldn't look, or not eyeball, but you know.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It would look very strange in that like style. So separating them makes sense, but the fact that they separated them but didn't really commit is weird.
I think because this is something that they mentioned in the Wolf Den was the eyes for Sonic. His pupils are traditionally like a way more like tall and elongated and just in the middle of his eyes, whereas Sonic's face kind of just looks like, I think they did to him like he's just cute, you know, kind of like a I don't know, like most movies that have animals as, you know, characters are just supposed to look cute. And so I think they applied a lot of that logic over to Sonic as opposed to making him look more traditionally like he does. And so that makes him look like, oh, it's little Sonic, like, oh, whatever.
But like, I don't think he's cute.
Right. No,
I think
it works,
that
is what it is.
Like the concept art for it definitely is like more on that side. And it still like looks more like what I would expect a Sonic in this style to look like. Yeah. Than the other one does. Maybe it doesn't like translate like you know, his general character design of like he's slim and athletic, you know, because he's like kind of chubbier. Yeah. Or thick. Right. He's thicker. and that like concept art. But I definitely think it was a better look, and I wish they went with that.
Also, in this concept art, or in a lot of these too, looking at, well, specifically these, the like, because his legs are crossed like that,
it looks like he has two right feet.
It looks more like he's got really like he has long blue pants on, and that they like go over the cuffs of his shoes or whatever. Like, I don't see it as like feet that go straight into his shoes. I don't know. It just looks. It's the perspective is weird, but that's besides the point.
Again, maybe that's another thing that doesn't translate well into live action. But like, why are his arms blue?
I don't know. Are his arms not blue normally? I can't remember.
No, they're like that, like tan color.
I'm looking up. I just Googled Sonic and Sonic Drive-Thru came up.
That's surprising. I'm surprised by that.
Yeah, especially because of just like, you know, it remember. Oh, you're right. Yeah, his arms are definitely. Well, now that I'm Googling Sonic the Hedgehog, everything from the movie's coming up instead. But no, you're right.
Oh, I Googled Sonic, and if you go to images, the first thing is a bunch of Sonic.
Well, that's good at least. Yeah, you're right. His
it
arms.
looks like the drive-in, the restaurant, and this is a tangent, but it looks like they just paid for that
course.
like top result.
Yeah, you're
like
smart.
Just how that's populated, it reads to me that they paid for that, because everything else, like if you look at top stories and stuff like that, all Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yep. Man alive. Good job, Sonic. And probably because it has locations and stuff too, so it's like trying to get you to go eat some fast food. I mean, I could eat some fast food. No, back on topic. I don't have much more to say about Sonic. I don't know. Do you?
I'm wait and see. Yeah. I'm in the wait and see mode. I'll see this because it's Sonic, you know?
Yep.
Like, I care about Sonic. Mm-hmm. I doubt that it's going to be as good as Detective Pikachu.
Oh, there's no doubt in my mind that it's not going to be as good as Detective Pikachu.
Yeah, there's no way. There's no way.
Partly just storyline wise, like I can't envision really much of anything in a Sonic movie that would, because the Detective Pikachu movie is like there are Pokemon in it, but it's not like a movie around the fact. I mean, it is a movie around the fact that they're Pokemon, but kind of not at the same time. You know, where it's like story-wise, they could be replaced with other characters and just change some dialogue, and it would still happen. Whereas for Sonic, like he's Sonic. You know, like that's a main thing. It's not like it's like Sonic's lazy day at work, and you know, just telling a regular story of him going whatever. So,
because I mean that to be fair, that definitely is a thing about the like stronger movies, even like in the Marvel universe and stuff like that, where it's like at the end of the day, this is a story about characters. It's not like it's not successful just because it's Black Panther. You know, it's because it's a character story that a lot of people related to. So. Yeah, if they can pull that off somehow with Sonic, I mean, we didn't see a trailer, so who knows?
I mean, that's like, same thing with, I realized that at one point, one of my favorite shows ever is the show Fringe. And at some point during watching that, I was like, this show and every show is pretty much, every show is a drama. It's just a question of whether they use comedy a lot or like sci-fi elements a lot, or you know, like in the sense that like even a comedy for the most part there's drama between people of some sort. I mean, there's exceptions to some degree, but pretty much it's about, you know, stuff going on between people and stories and all that stuff. But I don't know, fun things. Some other fun things that are going to be coming out when a thing happens. Nintendo Labo VR. I don't know if I was surprised or not surprised. What about you?
I was surprised. I wasn't surprised. We talked about this. Yeah. Well, you weren't here. This is the one where you were dead. We talked about Nintendo Labo, and it was like a last minute thing. Like I pulled this. Yeah. Usually you pull all the stories, but I was like, oh, somebody wrote an article about that. That's interesting. And I pulled that and talked about it, and like everybody's concerned, like everybody's freaking out about this. And they're just like, but VR doesn't work because the resolution and the eye tracking and all this stuff that's like as if they develop VR, you know, like they're the tech company. We're just like, I'm pretty sure Nintendo like thought about that, especially since like they've been more apprehensive of VR than literally any company.
Yeah, right.
Just because like they had that like loss a long time ago, and they're like, nah, we're staying away from that, you know. So I would think that I think they have their ducks in a row, where it's like it's gonna work. It's not gonna make your child vomit all over the floor.
Which I mean, part of that too is looking at the pictures. There's a spot where maybe you can put a headband on it, but it's not advertised with any, and it's possible, and you have to be holding it in all of them. So all that to say that it's obvious that it's like you need to be able to be ready to let go of any of this stuff immediately, like because it's not strapped to your face like most VR headsets are. This is just, you're just holding your face up to it. So which just goes to show it's more of like a experience than it is also, which I mean, that's going into a different aspect of it, but just as far as the, like getting sick and stuff like that parts, you know, they've built in a protection against that because you're not stuck in that world as a kid. You're just holding it up to your face like a toy.
Right. Or like those like things where you put like the film looking thing in there and you click it.
Yep.
And,
that's exactly what I was thinking. I don't know what they're called, but they're fun.
I used to, but I don't remember. I'm drawing a blank. I'm sure Grimham will put in the comments what they're called. I'm I just like always bet because Grimhane always has this like random tidbits. So I just assume he's going to be the one to put it in there. But who knows?
Thanks
Maybe
in advance,
somebody else will surprise me.
Yeah, so some details about, I mean, everybody already knows. There's a starter kit for $40. There's 2 expansions for $20 each, or the full kit for $80, which the thing that I really like about this, and other people have pointed out too, but I think is just smart in general, is you can buy a starter kit. That's great. And if you do that, you're not losing money in the long run. It's not like they're trying to be like, you could get the starter kit, but then by the time you get the 2 expansions, it's going to have been $100.
Right.
It's, you know, if you buy it piecemeal, it adds up to the exact same amount as if you buy the full thing, which kind of, I mean, is Nintendo eating that cost in a way, because there's a little bit more packaging and more shipping and that kind of stuff involved with doing more SKUs.
It's not that much. You know, like, they're definitely like losing money in a relative sense, but it's not like, man, this much packaging, that's like $20 whole. No, you know, it's like they're spending a couple of cents on that. Good on them for doing it.
Yeah.
But I don't know what their expectations are for this. I don't know if they think that like or if they're hoping that like this is like a $1 million+ seller on its own, or like what. I don't know. So what their plan is.
Yeah, some of my thoughts too with it is I think this is the last kit that they like had fully planned out before like when they first launched Labo. And I could be wrong about that. I'm sure they've got other ideas of stuff, but the only reason I say that is because their promotional material when Labo first came out included some of the kits that we see here, like the bird one and the elephant trunk one, and I don't know if the blaster one was in there, but some of the other ones were. The camera one definitely was. And so those are things that we've seen those, but then I think this is it. That's all the ones that we've seen in that promotional material from then at any point. And so they were trying to show, you know, as much variety as possible at that point. So I don't know. Yeah. And on top of that, it was, I think when the investors briefing stuff happened, they mentioned something to the effect, or it was a little bit after that maybe, that they didn't specifically pin it on Labo, but that they I think it was Furukawa who said like, we overestimated some things in the, you know, some season or whatever, where essentially he was hinting at in some ways that they expected Labo to do more. I mean, they were, you know, maybe happy enough with it, but, and then I heard somebody say that, I don't know, from an insider source or something like that too, that they, that Nintendo really expected, the reason that they had kind of a slump in the middle of the year of first party stuff sort of was they expected Labo to be that like heavy hitter for them. And that's, they expected to be selling more Switches than they did because of Labo, but they didn't. True. So, which is interesting. Yeah,
I mean, I could have seen that potential in it, but it definitely is like the value is like harder to communicate, and a lot of people like went off the knee jerk of like, oh, it's cardboard, but they didn't see like this is like, it's interesting. Like you're basically teaching like simple coding with that kid, and that's with the like initial like releases, and I'm sure they still have like tools like that in the newer ones. So like on that level, I'm interested in it. I did reach out to Nintendo, and they sent us hashtag free product. They sent Justin the vehicle kit.
Oh, cool.
Because he has children. So I was like, yeah, you check this out. But I'm probably going to check this one out. Yeah. I'm sorry, Justin and children. So well, I'll have more thoughts on that whenever next month when this comes out. We'll talk about it more.
Well, and anecdotal evidence too of that I think they're making better choices is, so the starter kit's $40 and the full thing's $80. So two Christmas presents of mine that I've my wife got me like a VR headset kind of a thing back before the Switch came out. It was Christmas 2016, I think. And it was just one that you put your phone in, but it was like kind of a higher end one. It was, you know, more than Google Cardboard, probably something more in the kind of $80 range or so. And she was really excited about it, and I thought it was cool, but they're just like, the functionality on the phones with that kind of stuff, it's more like, oh, it's a cool experience because you can do a couple things.
Right.
But it just wasn't, it like didn't really envelop because there's just not as many things that you can do VR wise on a phone. So there's that side. And then one of my dogs literally destroyed it. So that was, so it's gone now. But so there was that. And then on the flip side, this past Christmas, she had got me the variety kit, the Labo variety kit for Christmas. And then I had said something about like, yeah, the Labo kit is up for a game award, but like, that's not going to win because blah, 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 blah. And she was like, what? and then she told me that she got it for me. I was like, no, it's fine. No, I'll enjoy it. But you know, then she ended up just bringing it back. She was like, no, it's not fun anymore. So, but both of those things like were cool, but like I wouldn't have been as excited about, I think, as this thing that's both Labo and VR, but somehow is just promising it better in both regards. Yeah. That long story short to say, like, I think the $40 entry point is good. And also just like the functionality of the Switch, but honestly, for everything besides the low quality screen comparatively, you know, like people have issues with that for sure. But besides that, like it's got this separating Joy-Cons and it's got like everything else that you would theoretically need for VR. I think in any case, I don't know. So
even like, it looks like, Andre Seegers from Game Explain pointed this out on Twitter. They have like with the elephant one, I think it is, they have like rudimentary like hand tracking with like the Joy-Cons and like with the elephant ears, I think. Yep. Where it's like the IR blaster or camera is looking at the elephant ears.
Oh, which is interesting. Yeah. So that's, I mean, you'll get it and we'll find out. So that's actually really soon. That's like a month almost.
Yeah, that was crazy. Like, it's so weird how they announced that. It's so weird.
It really is. I think my biggest question with it is there any chance that other developers also develop stuff for it? And I don't know. I
wonder if we're going to get, and I know it's not going to be like, you can fully play Mario Odyssey and VR. Like, I know it's not going to be anything like that, but I wonder if we are going to get any like explore the Mushroom Kingdom in VR, you know, like that sort of thing. Because they have done that. I think every VR kit, except for maybe the robot one, has had some type of functionality in another Nintendo game.
Yeah, I think, for sure, because the race car or the motorcycle one was in Mario Kart first, and then they put the car one in Mario Kart, and then I can't remember if anything else actually got involved in anything, but there are definitely, I think there were some other. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not.
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know. Maybe it's just a vehicle one, but I do remember it was like some other thing.
Well, I mean, because the motorcycle one was in the variety kit. So yeah, you're right on that. That was even before the vehicle kit, and that was involved there. But yeah, there might have been something else as well, and I just can't think of it right now.
Right. Correct us in the comments. Who else? Eric, you do it. Did I already call Eric for doing something?
Not yet.
Yeah, Eric, you do it.
Yeah.
Maybe Squanel, you correct this too.
You know who else is doing something? Is Square Enix is doing something with Octopath Traveler, and it's not exactly what you'd expect. I mean, maybe it is from Square Enix nowadays.
It's probably what you would expect.
They announced this which is good. So Octopath Traveler was great. I really liked it. I played it, and I beat it at literally the 100 hour and 0 minute mark, which was just so rewarding.
Hashtag free game. They sent it to me. I gave it to Logan. Logan didn't really do anything with it.
I would have, because it's fun. Yeah, no,
but you weren't here.
I sure
Parker,
wasn't.
you should have made your entrance earlier.
Yep. Here I am to play the next Octopath game.
Play a sequel, yeah.
So they're making a sequel, which is, they actually didn't specifically announce what platforms. I mean, obviously it would come on Switch as well, but I don't know. Somebody was like, "Oh, it'll probably go third parties, or also be on PS4 or something." And I don't know.
But like, why would they?
Yeah, I don't think so. Like, they didn't do that with Bravely Default. I kind of doubt it. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, doesn't matter. So they announced that they're doing that, but more closely to now is that they're doing Octopath Traveler mobile game. that is coming out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a pre-trial of it coming in March 12th. That's like 4 days. That's really soon.
That's such a Square Enix name. A pre-trial.
Yeah, I don't really know. Like, can everybody... I mean, I'll try it for sure, but is that a limited thing or like however that works? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yep.
If I cared about this game, I would have emailed Nintendo and be like, yo, what's up with this? What does that mean?
I mean, we don't have to wait too long to find out, I guess, so that's good.
That's true. These are true facts.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's that.
But yeah, this announcement kind of like I half paid attention to it, half not. I saw Stealth on Twitter, and I think you like replied to the tweet or something like that.
Probably.
Where he was basically like, "This is like really smart of them" and stuff like that, and it's like, I just don't know if it is anymore. Like that's just like the thing that is expected at this point for you to do. When you announce a mobile game, you better say something about the mainline thing that everybody cares about. You just have to. It's not a thing of like, man, that was really smart on their marketing team. It would be stupid if they didn't.
Yes, I think that's exactly what I was about to say. It's not that it was smart on them for doing it. It's that it would be stupid to not. Because at this point, you've got so many other companies to learn from. Like
just in the last 6 months, we had Doom Eternal and we had Metroid Prime 4, where it's like, this is the way you don't do that, and this is the way you do it, you know?
Diablo Immortal, I think.
Oh, yeah. Diablo Immortal. Or whatever.
No, exactly, man. People were...
Two very different things.
My wife's boss, he and his friends go to BlizzCon, that's what it was, right? Every year. And just because like that's a tradition of theirs, so they go and do that. And they went to BlizzCon this past year, and I asked them about it. Well, because Ashley, she was like, "Yeah, my boss, he's gone on this at this gaming thing. I don't know what it is." And it was like right when BlizzCon was happening. So when he got back, I was like, "Were you at BlizzCon?" And he's like, "Yeah." I asked him about that thing. He's like, "It was super awkward. Like the room was just silent." So it was fun to talk to somebody that was actually there and experienced the awfulness of what that announcement was. But yeah, you're right. That's
hey man, I bet he has a phone.
Yeah. He sure does. Man alive. Speaking of conferences though and announcing things, EA is going to be skipping E3 this year.
Good, never come back. Because like, and I don't get like this like kick out of hating EA, you know?
Right.
It's like, I'm not the biggest fan of EA, but like EA is like, why are you here at E3? You know, like why though? Like their E3, everybody else's E3, it doesn't even seem like it's for press anymore.
Right.
Everybody else's E3 is like direct communication to the fans because they know like that those are the people that care most about this this thing. Like most press is like, I don't even want to be here right now. This is work. But they know that this is like for the fans. EA has their press conferences for their investors.
Yep.
They announce all the games that the people that don't even know what E3 is are going to buy, but the gamers don't care. They don't care about it. It's like everybody has like a timer till sports, you know, and then that's the time that they go and they tweet about like, oh, this is a sports ball, you know, but yet they always talk about FIFA and Madden, you know, where the bulk of the people that are watching this do not care. So it's like, just like, I don't know why they ever come to E3.
Yeah, and it's just been boring. Yeah, like, I mean, for those reasons, it's just been boring the past couple of years. Like watching it is like just flat out not fun. And I mean, that's part of it is, you know, just having fun and having a good presentation. And they just don't have a good presentation. They just have facts that they want to share with people. Yeah. So, which they're also, I mean, the only difference is, so they're skipping E3, but they will have their EA Play June 7th through 9th, which is the weekend before, which is like, so at that point, they'll actually have more time. Somebody was theorizing it would probably be more like a treehouse type situation where, you know, they announce something and then can go in depth on it or whatever, which
it sounds more like to me that they won't have any like front facing thing for the internet and it's just going to be like demos for the people that are actually there.
Right.
Which would make sense.
Here's on top of that, here's a tinfoil hat thing for you real quick. So was just thinking about this earlier. Google is rumored or they announced that they'll be announcing something, I think March 19th, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, during GDC.
Yes, right. Which theoretically is the next console. I mean, or is a console that, from rumors. So if that's the case, I wonder if they could theoretically be taking EA's stage. It seems like that would be really, I don't know how that kind of thing would work.
I don't think that they could. I think that E3's like stage space, or not stage space, but like floor space is like all allotted for already.
Gotcha.
I don't know if you could. I mean, maybe Google.
I mean, if they've been working on it for a while, I guess too is the only other thing. Is like maybe we just don't know about it. But they've planned on it for a while.
Right. But I feel like we would know.
Yeah.
Like if they were at E3, we would know. In some way, it's some type of floor plan would leak or they would announce it or whatever.
Yeah.
But who knows? I don't know. I think that, and a lot of people are like, again, I think Stealth tweeted this. I want to reach out to him and see if he wants to be on the show.
Oh, that'd be fun.
I know he does a lot of podcast stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, he tweeted something about how Nintendo's bringing so many games to E3 that maybe they'll use some Sony space. And that does seem to be how E3 or the ESA handles that sort of thing, where it's like the people that are already in get dibs first,
right,
on floor space, and then everybody else goes with what they can get after that,
Yep.
So like I could see somebody else gobbling up that like extra floor space, like Xbox or something like that. But that would kind of, I don't know where, because I know that the big three are like kind of sandwiched in between each other, where it's like Nintendo, then Sony, then Xbox, so it would kind of be weird if they had like PlayStation on this part and then like half or not. Is PlayStation coming at all?
No,
I know that they're.
Well, I wondered, they must be providing some consoles for demos, I would think, at least.
Well, yeah, for sure.
They definitely. That's a good question, because that seems. I mean, at that point, they would still be coming in some regard, but they definitely. Right. I mean, they don't have a presentation, but that's not to say that they won't just be hanging out there.
Because that's the thing that I don't know. Like, I know that they're not having a presentation, but did they say that they're not coming to E3 at all?
Right.
Because it wouldn't be the first time somebody was like Bethesda or whatever. Like, they didn't always have a presentation, but they came to E3, Square Enix, stuff like that. So, and that, like, it would just be weird. Like, say that they did do that, and then, like, Microsoft is like, I'm taking EA space. And that's, like, halfway across the show floor. And then like, you got two Xbox booths. Like, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, man. E3 is going to be, well, I don't know. Maybe it won't be anything different this year. But I feel like it'll be kind of its own beast this year compared to other things. There's just a lot of things
E3 is having a very slow death.
Yeah.
It's funny this like trajectory that it was on, because like I'd say like the last 8-9 years have been people looking at Nintendo and being like, man, you guys do E3 real bad. And then they're like, oh, we're not going to E3 anymore. And then everybody's like, that's dumb, you need E3, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, but we don't, though. We have Nintendo Directs. And now everybody is like, but, like, we don't need E3 anymore. We can have, I don't know, let's just call it a Direct. Like, we can have something where we announce all our stuff directly to our fan base and have our own day dedicated to ourselves. It's our news cycle. It's not like bombarded with all these other things that are going to be inevitably more important than our entire show, because that's just what happens. Like, the news cycle is dominated by 2 to 5 games, and everybody else is like, oh yeah, that was announced.
Yeah, and especially like it's that much worse these days because of leaks and stuff. Like, and even fake leaks are still making things just as much worse, because it's kind of just taking the hype out of some things that would be there, which is just lame and annoying. And I wish that it didn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
But it's what it is. It's so E3 doesn't want, EA doesn't want E3, and Nintendo doesn't want money. That's the next story. That's an overstatement for sure. People probably heard this news bit, but now we're going to talk about it because that's what we do. This is Cygames was talking to somebody. They're the developers for Dragalia Lost, and they've done other mobile games such as Something and Something Else. I didn't look that up ahead of time. But yeah, so Cygames was talking to people, and here's just some quotes from them. They said, Nintendo is not interested in making a large amount of revenue from a single smartphone game. If we managed the game alone, we would have made a lot more. And then
that's kind of gross.
Yeah. And then the next, another thing, this is from the Wall Street Journal on the subject, says, in some cases, players can spend hundreds or even thousands of dollars trying to win special items. Fearing such behavior will damage Nintendo's brand image. The company has asked its partners to adjust the game so that users won't spend too much, according to people familiar with Nintendo's strategy. Nintendo sees smartphone games primarily as a way to increase interest in its games characters so that players will consider buying traditional console games, the company's main business, according to one Nintendo official. The company is concerned it might be criticized for being greedy in smartphone games, the official said. End quote.
Part of that seems like it's conflicting with like recent quotes from like Furukawa, where they're like, yeah,
it's one of our main pillars.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, we used to not really care about mobile games, but now it's our third pillar, you know, like that whole thing. So I don't know if they don't view smartphone games as a way to get revenue. I just don't think they want to be gross about it.
Yes, right. Yeah, I think it's one of those. I mean, also them saying it's one of their pillars is probably a little bit an investor thing, is so that people, because investors love smartphone games and microtransactions and all that kind of stuff.
Right. But I feel like them saying that and then not really feeling that way, if they're like, okay, one of our major pillars is smartphone games, but we're not trying to make money off of them. It would be better for them to not position smartphone games like that in their messaging. If they didn't expect to make money from these things, or notable, like any noteworthy amount of money from smartphone games, I don't think that they would have said it like that. I just think that they're trying to have more like accepted revenue models.
And I mean, I think especially Dragalia Lost actually is probably the best example of what you're saying, because it's not, this quote mentions that it's primarily to increase interest in game characters, but Dragalia Lost characters aren't in any Nintendo games besides just that mobile game. So the only game that, it stands alone essentially. So that said, obviously they would care enough to make some kind of profit on it. But I think it's true that, like Cygames guy said, that if they were doing it alone, they would make a lot more money. That's probably true. And it seems like there is a fine line probably between being like, I don't know if it's just that there's a specific tipping point or there's a perfect middle spot or whatever between like getting people to pay for microtransactions and having whales and that kind of thing versus on the like scummy side and not scummy side. Like, I mean, everybody that I've talked to or that I've heard that plays Fire Emblem Heroes pretty much feels like if they play it casually, they don't need to spend a single cent on it ever at all, and they have a lot of stuff. But if you spend a lot of time in it, then you're probably going to have to. But
I think that Fire Emblem is like, and not because of Nintendo, but Fire Emblem is probably their grossest one.
Oh yeah, right.
Where it's like, but it's like gross in like. For a very specific subset of people, where it's like they just feel like they need to have all the things, less so than like you need to actually have them to progress in the game or to clear challenges and stuff like that. Yeah. It's just like you want to have all the waifus, man.
It's a collector kind of thing. That's the whole gacha system, is you're trying to collect things and whatever. But which is interesting to me that Dragalia Lost hasn't really done that, because I played it for a really brief amount of time at the beginning, #free game product provided by my smartphone, and it's got the exact same stuff in there where, you know, you're trying to get more characters and roll for them and all that. And like, maybe it gives you too many things. I didn't play long enough. Honestly, it took up more space on my phone than I wanted it to.
Right.
And also, I didn't really care about the gameplay all that much.
I have too much space on my phone. I have so many apps on my phone that I never touch.
Yeah.
Like Animal Crossing. I literally opened Animal Crossing up like 3 times. And ever since then, and I like always point out to Bob, because I think Bob has like the same issue where it's like he just keeps it there, but he's never going to play it. And it like has all these notifications of like, hey, come back to camp. We got this new thing. And I'm like, I will never play you. I'm never going to do it. But I just don't delete it. I don't know why.
Man. Does it have like a notification, like the red numbers and stuff of how many notifications there are in it?
No,
okay, well that's good.
No. I probably would have deleted it a long time ago.
Absolutely. I can't. I just saw one of my coworkers' phones, and his email had 1,500 unread emails, and I was like,
I can't deal with that. I can't deal with it. That's why this PAX, like lead up to PAX, is torture, because I get so many emails, and I get like a decent amount of emails anyway. Especially the the business account and stuff like that. But PAX is way worse. It's like every day I get at least 50 new emails just for PAX specifically. Yeah. And it's just like, I don't want to deal with this, you know? Especially since a lot of it is like not relevant, because they just have you in like, if you have a media badge to PAX, they have you in this mailing list of like, hey, come look at all our games. It's like it doesn't care about your preferences, because I know like E3, I think PAX does the same thing, but E3 has you fill out like a questionnaire of like, what do you care about here? And they try to like narrow down what they send you, but PAX just sends you everything. So it's like, hey, you want to play this Steam Love Simulator or something like that? And it's like, does that sound relevant to me at all?
Yeah, right.
So, eh.
Yeah, man. So speaking of things that are relevant to me, Turok or not Turok? That is the question. Turok, the N64 game, is coming to the Switch. So that's a thing. It had come out previously on at least Xbox, at probably just everything. It was a remaster that came out last year or 2 years ago or something like that. And it's just, I mean, it's straight up, it's very much a remaster, not a remake. So it looks like, you know, the N64 game, but just up-resed a little bit. But yeah, that's coming to Switch at some point.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Probably plays like garbage.
It is funny. There's a lot of people comparing it to Ark Survival Evolved on the Switch, because even when Ark came out, they were like, oh, it kind of looks like Turok, but worse. And now it's like, well, here's Turok, but not as bad as Ark. Which is true.
I mean, that leads me to another thing where it's like, I just don't like how people talk about like the graphics on Switch, like they're like this is just disgusting. Right. It's unplayable, and it's like it'll look like an Xbox 360 game. Yeah. It's like 4 years ago you're talking about like this looks pretty good, you know, like. But now it's like, this is the worst thing ever and stuff. I was like, no, you're playing an Xbox 360 game, if not PS3, if not better than that, in your hand.
Right.
You know,
I mean, it's one thing if it's framed.
Ark is not one of those.
Right.
Ark is not one of those. That game looks terrible.
Yes.
But
and it's more for that one. It's just as much a question of frame drops all over the place and you know that kind of stuff. But like, yeah, no, it's for ones that like just look that run fine but don't look immaculate. They still look good.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just this weird like moving target of like, if it doesn't look like the best thing, it's the worst thing. You know, it's like,
absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yep.
You know,
do you think it's a pretty straightforward answer, but do you think this game means anything at all in terms of N64 lineup making its way? Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, mostly the fact that A, it came to all the other consoles, and B, this one wasn't even on the virtual console for Wii or Wii U or whatever, so it doesn't really have any impact on any of that, I don't think.
Also, I mean, like, everybody's putting their old games on Switch, and that's not like having Nintendo be like, man, Hamster's putting a lot of our games on there, maybe we should put the rest.
Yeah.
It's like,
Indeed. All right. Well, last but not least, news-wise, this one doesn't even need a segue because I'm not doing it, is Devil May Cry may come to Switch if Dragon's Dogma sells well, said
Speaking
somebody.
of things I'm not going to do, If I was going to play I think I did say I was interested in playing that. Don't want to play it now. I'm tired of Capcom.
Yeah.
I'm sick of them. Don't put Devil May Cry on the Switch. Just don't do it. Just do not do it at this point, because it's like, I just don't care. I couldn't care any less.
Yeah. And it's not like that's even like there's some games that I could see, you know, like, for example, if Nintendo was like, we're going to put back out Pikmin 3 to see if we should bother making a Pikmin 4, something like that, you know,
right.
like it's still not a great test.
Even that is like, I would say that is like the best case scenario.
Yes, right.
Just because Pikmin 3 is a game that most people didn't play.
Yeah.
You know? And it's directly related to the thing. Mm-hmm. But for something like...
This is just two games by the same developer.
Right.
That's it.
Which I would say... But yeah, exactly. Even something like what Bandai Namco did for Fighters, where it's like, if you buy Xenoverse 2, go bring over Fighters. It's like, that's not a one-to-one scenario, because like, if you buy this old crappy game, we'll bring over this new good one. Mm-hmm. You know, and I know there's people that like say Xenoverse is good. No, it's not good. I'm sorry about it. I mean,
you're like LA Noire and with Rockstar and stuff. You know, like that's, if people want GTA 5, they don't specifically want LA Noire. I mean, maybe, I'm sure there's overlap, but it's not like one in the same at the same time. So it's a frustrating thing, because it's not, like you said, it's not one-to-one. Like, I know for me, well, I don't know if I would specifically care about Devil May Cry 5. I've just not played any of them before, but like, I mean, I hear they're really good, so maybe I would. But if I were, I don't know, it's just, they're not relevant.
If there was any chance of me playing that game, or like I said, Dragon's Dogma, it's dead now.
Yeah, right.
Because like, I don't care about Devil May Cry 5.
Right.
I mean, I hear it's good, cool.
Yeah.
You know, great for people that want to play it. But again, like, it's just like, I feel like companies like Capcom have that opposite effect that they want to have on me when they say things like this.
Right.
Because like,
they think they're incentivizing it.
Right. I'm more likely to play your game if you put it on Switch. Just put it out there. Any company, you know, any company from the smallest indie to the biggest AAA. If you put your game on Switch, chances are I'm going to play it. If it's on, and this is coming from somebody that has, literally, I'm staring at my Xbox and my PlayStation 4 right now. But I am 10,000 times more likely to play through your game if you put it on Switch. So just do it, you know?
Yep.
Don't do this whole thing of like, if you buy this, because that just makes me not care about your game at all.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's because it just makes it seem like, I don't know, it looks bad on them rather than it meaning anything about their game specifically. It's just, they look like jerks is all. So speaking of looking like jerks, we got your video. Which I was in, and I guess I'll just say that was about me and me looking like a jerk. But that's it for news. Any closing thoughts on the news?
You took up my video. You took up valuable time. You made my video nice and 2 minutes longer or something like that. And I was like, I always have this problem where it's like, I have like this brief moment of like, will I have enough to say about Pokemon? And I feel like I say this every time I have a Pokemon video, where it's like, I don't know if I'm going to like be able to do this in this video, unless it's like a very specific thing, like the ones of like things that Pokemon can learn from this game, you know, like the past Pokemon games, which Grimhain wants me to keep making, but like the views, fam. It's just like, I start these videos and it's like, hopefully I can get it to 10 minutes, but if not, whatever.
Yeah.
And then it always ends up being too long. I have to cut stuff. And then you were like, hey, well, we do the thing for you being in a video, me being in a video. I was like, yeah, let's do that. And then I was like, this video is going to be the longest video I've made in 3 months or something like that.
How long did it end up being? I don't remember.
It's like, with everything I had written out, because like, because you had the script, but if you look at the script compared to like the video, I cut out like a good 3 minutes. Nice. So that video would have been nearly 20 minutes long, and I wasn't doing that. Yeah. I didn't even want it to be 14 minutes. Like, I try to have my videos max be 12 minutes. Max. But if I would have cut out any more, it would have took out a lot of what I was trying to say.
Right, yeah.
So I didn't want to do that.
Indeed. But yeah, your video, I mean, I gave some thoughts by just saying things in it. So there's that.
That's true.
But some of the things you talked about, I mean, we'll, get to comments that talk about some of these things, I'm sure, too. But yeah, you mentioned that Game Freak aims to challenge themselves. And I think you did a good job of pointing out all these things that are, I mean, I'm sure your thesis or whatever for the video was that like, these are things that at this point, based on what we've seen, are still theoretically possible. Like Pokemon in the overworld, it's kind of too little too late now, unless they have one specific area where maybe that happens or something, like a safari zone or something. Other than that, it's like, nah, it's random encounters. So we're not, talking about that anymore. But
yeah.
But yeah, that they aim to challenge themselves is good. And then you talked about non-linearity, and I think playing Gen 1 was an interesting, just going back and like playing actual Gen 1 versus Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, it's still like kind of non-linear in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, but there's a lot more times where like when it is linear, they specifically point you in the direction, like after
I feel like in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, they made what was originally non-linear pretty linear. Because it's like, it straight up does not let you do certain things if you don't check off those boxes. Like I was playing through it on stream, and I was like in the like middle ground between going to Lavender and like past to Fuchsia. And I'm like, why can't I do this? Like, why aren't they letting me go to the next thing? It's like, oh, you got to go talk to Jesse and James and have that cutscene. That didn't happen in the original Gen 1 games. I literally, like, completely by accident, I got the Fuchsia City gym badge before I got Sabrina's. Right. And I didn't even know that was the wrong order when I originally did it.
I don't know if that. I think that's technically
I had them flipped. I don't remember which one was the original order. Yeah,
because technically speaking, it's weird because like world wise, like map wise, it doesn't make sense. But you're kind of supposed to go to Koga before you go. So it's Erica and then Koga and then Sabrina. But you can kind of do the Sabrina stuff. Not the Sabrina stuff, but the little gym, the fighting dojo in there before you do. It's weird. Yeah. Like it's kind of, which is great. Honestly, it's just that you can kind of.
Yeah. So Sabrina's first. So yeah, I did Sabrina before I did Koga.
Gotcha. Right.
I mean, Sabrina's second. Right. She's the fifth gym leader. As far as the sixth one, canon order goes.
Right. So yeah, it's weird, but yeah, so I hope, you pointed out in the map and other people pointed that out as well, that kind of middle area looks like maybe it's kind of open, and it's possible that, it's with it being just a map, it's possible that there's a Snorlax or, something else like that it kind of funnels you a different way.
I definitely don't think it's going to, and like I said in the video, I definitely don't think it's going to be like that, where it's like, I got the grass gym first. Which one did you get? I don't think it's going to be like that. I just think that there's going to be like different ways to attack certain routes. Yep. Where it's like, I went in this direction and took this branching path here. Like we literally see in the map where it's like there are branching, like there's forks in the where the river is. And what that is like, I think that's just going to end up less so being branching paths and more just like another way to go. And you're going to take both of them or all of them. Most people will, but you won't have to.
The only thing that, like, thinking about and looking at that open area and like that, I was kind of excited about that. But then the only thing with that is that in some other games, there's like good reward for exploring and like, I don't know. There's just reward for exploring and, stronger weapons or stuff like that. Whereas in the Pokemon formula, there's a little bit less that they can incentivize with that. There's definitely items that they could give you, but they're not like, you would know better than me. So maybe there are things I'm not thinking of, but there could be items like, hold items that make your specific Pokemon stronger and all that kind of stuff. But I can't really think of a lot of things that's like, oh, wow, I'm really glad I went down in this area over here because it, benefited me in a lot of ways other than just catching more Pokemon and fighting more trainers and stuff.
I think I think there's both already things that they could theoretically do, but they could also add more. And it could still fit within like the parameters that are there.
Which I hope they do.
I think that for the most part it could just be trainers, you know, because like how in Pokemon Let's Go, there's like a lot more trainers than there are in the original Gen 1. So like if they just wanted to do that, where it's like if you go down this route, you battle these trainers, or this route, you battle these trainers, or this route, you know. So in that way, you could just, if you want to grind out the whole route and do all possible paths, you can battle everybody on that route and be more leveled.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, that's exciting to me if they're doing that, which, again, like you pointed out, it seems like they will, and I just hope that they do. So that would be cool. And then just some other things that you mentioned. I won't go on too long because I talk a lot already. But having Kalos or like the Sevi Islands kind of thing, definitely Kalos just would be, I don't know. It makes too much sense.
It makes so much sense.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much all there is to it. Like I think the only thing that would be maybe a hindrance is depending on if the world is kind of more is 3D and has a 3D camera or whatever, and isn't just a fixed camera, then they would have to redo the environments. Well, I mean, they'd already have to redo the environments, but they'd have to redo them maybe more than they would have before.
I don't know if they had to redo them. They might have to like up-res a lot of it, but it does seem like, because a lot of the models that they have, with the exception of like the characters, are pretty much the same. You know, like there's going to have to be like some scaling done to like things like cars and all that stuff.
I guess I'm mostly,
but for the most part,
yeah. I guess I'm mostly just thinking too, if it's if you have a free camera and you can see the backs of buildings, then all of a sudden now you go into Kalos and all of the backs of buildings are just like, well, there's a front to them and there's no back, or that kind of thing. Like, I don't know, maybe not.
I don't know if that's even the case, because a lot of times, like, they go overboard,
right?
Like, especially like Nintendo in particular. Like, look at Smash Brothers. Like, Smash Brothers has so much stuff off camera that you would never see normally.
Right, that's true.
That they have completely modeled and stuff like that. So I don't know. Maybe I had to look at a boundary break video or something to see if they did anything to like fully model out that world.
Yeah. So yeah, it's cool. But other things that are cool is comments. Ta-da! Grimhane says, "Hey Parker, can you tell me who this AJ guy is? Is he new or something?"
Yeah.
The tides have turned.
The tides have turned. I would be deeply confused if somebody that wasn't Grimhane said that. And now like Eric or something like that is going to comment
right, exactly.
But like, I mean, like genuinely saying that, I'd be like, yo, okay, well that's cool. You know, like if like the only show that they watch is eShop Window, that'd be dope. Yeah. You know?
There you go.
It is there for a reason. So like if people just watch that, I would be cool with that.
Me too. Well, no, I want them to watch your stuff as well. But in any case, good job, Grimhane. That was funny.
Just because like eShop Window is like functional,
right?
You know?
If it's a bit different
like,
MO, yeah,
right. So it's like Action Point. I feel like they're functional in the sense that like it's like social capital, where it's like I talk about this game in this different way or whatever. Whereas for you, it's just like, hey, you don't know what to play on your Switch. Here's new games that you probably didn't know about.
Indeed. Yeah. So some of the things we didn't know about. Decepticon says, so far, I'm really digging Score Bunny. This might be my first Pokemon game where I pick up Fire as a starter. One thing I'd love for them to add is more interactions with your team. I always loved how in the show, Ash had a strong bond with his team, interacts with them, plays with them, etc. It would be nice to have a deeper connection with my team rather than be like, oh, we had some great battles together. Can't wait to experience more battles. I doubt we're going to have Pokemon follow us, which is a shame, but at least something else alongside battling would be great. Not more fashion shows, though, LMAO.
Agreed. I want them to go... I'm sure I said this in a video, but I I want them to go almost like more in like a Nintendo sort of direction where it's like, and they kind of do that with like Pokemon and Me and Pokemon Refresh and all that stuff. But like, I want to be able to like just straight up be like, you know, like the scene in the Pokemon movies and stuff like that where Ash is like, come on out, everybody. And he throws all the Pokeballs up, and I don't know how he does that. Like he just has all 6 of the Pokeballs and throws them all up.
Yep.
But yeah, I want to do that and just have everybody doing their thing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I want to like scold my Pikachu for pushing my Charmander into the water or something, you know?
Yeah. Maybe
like that was not nice.
Like a Pokemon spa or something where you like go there and even if it's, I mean, ideally it'd be throughout the whole game.
Do campsites.
Yeah. Just like a spot. Because I think, I mean, it seems like at this point, if there's no Pokemon in the overworld for the most part, it's, you know, it's not going to happen in, at least not in this game.
Just like anywhere you want.
Right, yeah, exactly. But if they could just set up specific spots where like, this is where we have Pokemon models that can do things, and there's limited things that they could do, but we get to do stuff. It would be cool.
Yeah, it's not like they had, and that's the thing that's frustrating, because it's like they even had these models of all the Pokemon, every one of them walking. They had walking animations for all the Pokemon in Pokemon Sun and Moon. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? It's still possible. Like, we actually haven't seen anything that's confirmed.
Yeah, I mean, they could do like a bait and switch, you know, because it does look like super early footage.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like rough stuff. In terms of like textures and all that other crap.
I mean, or, you know, yeah, that they even just, it's not just that it's early. I mean, it is early footage, I guess, but also that they just decided to turn off the, you know, having a Pokemon follow you in when they're walking or something like that.
Right. Because you can do that in Pokemon Let's Go.
Besides, I guess, Pikachu and Eevee, but outside of that, yeah. So
you could just be like, no, stay in the Pokeball forever.
Yeah. I mean, I think the next...
I don't think that's going to happen. I feel like if they were going to do that, that would be like front and center. Like, hey, we did the thing you guys like again. But I don't know. Maybe that's like a E3 reveal or a thing of like, you thought we weren't going to do it, but guess what?
I think that's my only thought, is if they're going to... At this point, they showed the game for what it is, and they've got some things up their sleeve. It's just a question of what things those are and how exciting those things are, I guess, as well.
Right.
Which, I mean, probably E3 is when we're going to find out. We're also going to find out that Jay said, my favorite starter starting out was Grookey, but Scorbunny is starting to grow on me, which you think was Grookey because he's grass and grass grows. I think Scorbunny will be either fire electric or fire steel. Grookey, grass rock or grass fighting, and Sobble will be water psychic or water ghost. I plan on getting Shield right now, but I will wait to see the exclusives for each version. I think the legendaries will be a final form of Meltan, the figure we saw on the hill. Wolf legendary, a dragon, and possibly a horse/unicorn.
This dude is my rival officially. Because he's like the opposite of me in every way. In terms of like favorite starters and stuff like that. Because I don't like Grookey at all. Scorbunny's fine. And then I like Sobble the most.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting to see those type inks.
That's the one. You did it. Congratulations.
That would be neat. I don't know if they would do like. It just seems like they try not to double dip unless it's firefighting.
Right.
In regards to like, even if it's like across other types, you know, like they don't go from doing firefighting to doing water fighting, you know. So it would be kind of weird if they did water ghost, because they just had the grass ghost one. Yeah. So
I think my guess is for those. It's hard because it's one of those things where like their base form is pretty, you know, just kind of standard, but then they could add as many things as they want to. Like, who would guess that all of a sudden Squirtle would gain metal pipes out of his shell? You know, like, not to say that he's a steel type, but he can use steel type moves to some degree. And then, you know, at this point, if he had come out now, maybe he would be a steel type as well. You know, like,
I bet he's not. I bet his stupid cannons are fake. Like I said, like I told Justin, they're PVC pipes. I'm telling you,
man, they're beautiful and wonderful.
Even his Mega Evolution's not part of steel. Let's be real here.
That's true.
They're not steel.
Yeah, that's a good point. But yeah, so I feel like it's a little bit hard to guess, because unless they go more into the things that they're already doing, so like that Score Bunny is even more of an athlete, and that Sobble is even more of like a, chameleon-y Heidi thing, in which case, seems like Ghost or Poison or something like that would make sense. Because if he's using, somebody pointed out, maybe he's using acid armor at the beginning of the trailer there, which Poison or whatever, so...
I mean, granted, Vaporeon can learn acid armor,
exactly.
and Vaporeon
he's just water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Legendary's final form of Meltan. I kind of thought the same thing about that the little things looked kind of like Meltans on the hill. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, Jay. Is that
I think that is what he's talking about.
Yeah.
I think he's saying the final form is going to be the big guy. Which that'd be interesting. I don't know. Meltan or Melmetal.
Melmetal's already pretty big.
Yeah, he looks final formy to me,
same.
but I don't know. Maybe he'll get even bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. A wolf legendary, a dragon, and possibly a horse and unicorn. I mean, those make sense because of the UK for one thing, with the dragon and the horse unicorn, and there's also a lion, but then the wolf, because of at the top of the sword and shield logos there's the wolf, and Pokemon Gun. We forgot about Pokemon Gun.
Oh yeah, that's true. Good point.
Yeah.
Hashtag product provide, not yet.
True.
But I'd assume eventually,
All right,
unless I mess something up.
Yeah, that'd be sad. I mean, you'd still buy it. It just wouldn't be free.
Yeah, obviously, but I wouldn't have to give disclaimers.
That's true. Indeed. But yeah, good comments, Jay. As Azaka Blue says, I wish Game Freak would have taken more of a risk with Gen 8. Personally, I would have been happy with the continued feature of seeing Pokemon in the overworld. It was a nice change after 23 years. Not to mention, it fixes the whole Zubat problem. True. What I would have liked to see was a living open world with Pokemon living in their respective environments with the traditional battle and capture system. And since we could see the Pokemon in the environment, they could have added a new system where you could sneak, track, and chase wild Pokemon. Make it as close to the anime as possible. Also, after 23 years, I don't think it's unreasonable to have Pokemon do their anime calls.
I think the last bit would be super controversial. Just because a lot of people are like, I mean, granted, changing anything in Pokemon, which is why they don't, would be controversial. Because there's, and I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's like a confirmation bias thing and like people seek it out and stuff like that. But the majority of the time when I say, hey, change everything and make all the things different in Pokemon, people seem to agree, or at least like the video and don't dislike it and say, this is stupid, you're an idiot, blah, blah. So it's like, I think that most people, at least the vocal minority, are okay with things changing. It's just like the competitive side of things. And like that side of like, I want the same game that I've been playing for forever. They would hate the anime calls thing. I even saw somebody say something about that in like a Facebook group or something, where it's like somebody said, I want the anime calls, and then they were like, I would stop playing Pokemon if they did that. And I'm like,
what's their logic? I'm not sure I understand. Just because it's not.
They just said that they said that they would be annoyed by a Pokemon saying its name over and over again.
Oh my goodness.
But I mean, like,
but you're not annoyed by ew.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't understand. Like, it's not like this like robotic, like it's not like that is any less repetitive.
Right.
Also, Pokemon, you can barely tell what 90% of Pokemon are saying. Yeah. Like, Eevee doesn't sound like it's saying Eevee.
Yeah.
Charizard's not saying Charizard. Yeah. Like it's like this like animalistic version of it. Right. Where it's like they add some type of thing, like Charizard roars. He's probably saying Charizard, but he like growls it.
Kind of like when Bowser in Mario Odyssey, when Bowser's talking and he's subtitled, it's like Mario, and like you hear Mario, and the rest is just I roar, like, all right, whatever. Yeah, I think it would be the tricky thing about doing the anime calls would be Well, okay. They've never had voice acting in any Pokemon games. And so I think if we get voice acting in this next one, which I doubt, I just don't think it's going to happen.
It will probably cost a lot of money for being real. Even if they like repurposed, because I'm sure that there's a lot of like bleed through on like people that play X Pokemon also plays this Pokemon, you know, like the voice actor for Bulbasaur also does, you know, like that whole thing. But still, like either you would be paying them for their time a lot because they got to record dialogue for the 20 Pokemon or whatever that they do, or you would be paying a lot of people to do 900 Pokemon.
And also in a number of languages, or at least 2 languages, at least Japanese and English, which like, I mean, even just from Pikachu and Eevee, Pikachu is exactly the same in Let's Go Pikachu. It, you know, the Pikachu voice just sounds like, yeah, that's what we're used to, Pika Pika and stuff.
Yeah,
but
that's just Pikachu. Like, but Pikachu is like a rare case, right? Because like a lot of Pokemon do have, especially since like most of them, if not all, are some type of like portmanteau and pun, and those things don't all translate in every language, so they have different names in a lot of different regions. So a lot of them have the same voice, but you would still, again, you would have to pay them for additional time because they had to record all those same lines, but with a different name.
Again, there was a number of Pokemon that I only knew by their French names for a long time, but now I know them the regular way. And that's just the way it is. So, there's also a couple Pokemon. So I collected cards like we all did for a good while. And like my Gen 1 collection is incredibly is like almost completely full. I mean, I've got all the Pokemon, but as far as like I'm just missing a couple Pokemon from different expansions where I have, but whatever. A couple of them I'll have like, I technically have a holographic Haunter from the Fossil line, but it's in German. And it's like, that's a little annoying. Whereas, you know, like 90% of them are in English and then a couple of them are just in random other languages. I'm like, all right, come on, whatever. So there's that. But I think Azaka Blue's main point, though, like the majority of what you're saying is pretty much just like we want it to feel like the anime and feel more like this is the world that we experience on TV. We want to also experience it.
Which I'd agree with.
Absolutely.
And it's not even just the anime. It's literally every other medium with the exception of like the cards.
Yeah. But
it's like the movies, it's the manga, you know?
Yep.
They don't have that, like, this is a turn-based sort of, like, super static, you know, like, RPG-ish RPG.
Yeah, right.
And the rest of the media, like, even something like Mega Man NT Warrior, which is a strange example, like, that translates much more directly to, like, the Battle Network games. Than like Pokemon does, because Pokemon is like so much more frenetic in the like in the anime and movies and manga than it ever has been in the game.
It's tricky to, I mean, so one of the things that makes it hard to, especially in a battle system context, to translate the Pokemon anime, or, you know, just how that works, that world, into Pokemon games, is that in the anime, you're not like directly controlling another entity. You're like influencing another entity. It's like, you know, it's like dog training or whatever, where it's like, my dog's not going to sit 100% of the time that I want it to sit sometimes. And like the way he does it's going to be different, or what, or like all this kind of stuff where like the game can't really, there's no way for it to account for you telling it things and then, but Pikachu being like, no, I'm going to do this other thing, or, you know, something along those lines.
And it's not, I mean, I would say that there is, like, we have the technology for that. But it's just like, I think it would make it feel, for a lot of people, mostly children, too complicated. Because they could do like the thing of like, just that basic example, because that, I mean, that already kind of exists in Pokemon, where it's like, if you're not this level, or you have this,
which I didn't know for the longest time was only traded Pokemon. I was like, well, I can't level up my stuff past level 50 if I don't have this badge yet. Like, I just got to hang on around 49 until I beat him. Yeah, and I was just dumb. Go on.
But yeah, like the first time I ever did that, and I think that was more recent. Like that was like a Gen 3 or Gen 4 thing even, where like Pokemon would straight up like go to sleep.
Yeah.
You know, like before it was like, I don't want to listen to you. But like now it's like they do all different types of stuff. You know, it's like he's confused now and he smacked himself in the face because he doesn't like you very much. We're just like, okay, well, that doesn't make any sense, but whatever floats your boat.
Which always bugs me in the anime that Ash's Charizard doesn't listen to him if it's following the game logic of, well, it's not following the game logic. It's doing its own thing of that Charizard is independent and has his own free will, doesn't want to do Ash's thing. Okay. But in the game, it's only traded Pokemon, like the ones that you've trained. It assumes you have the bond with.
He's kind of a traded Pokemon. A little bit.
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, he would have gotten him when he was a, level 10 Charmander or something like that. So he would have leveled up himself.
And now he's like a level 70 Charizard.
Yeah. And Ash is just a level 1 loser.
Yeah, and even with the fact, like, a lot of people are like, but he has all the badges, like in the Pokemon League when he wasn't listening to him. Maybe he just doesn't view the badges that he got illegitimately, like the Misty and Brock badges. Maybe he's like, nah, fam, you got 6 badges.
You know what?
You don't got 8.
I was thinking about that recently because it always bugged me a little bit that Ash got so many of his badges illegitimately, like just not through actual, trainer battles and stuff. But as for TV stuff, I realized that it actually would be significantly more boring to watch. Like, okay, now he gets to a gym and now they're going to have a battle every time. Like, it's actually kind of good that they did that. It's still a little bit frustrating because, like, yeah, but really you should have, like, some of them, they had the Team Rocket stuff.
I think they could have made it more interesting. Yeah. I mean, they could, not more interesting than what it is per se, but they could have made it interesting if he always had to, like, earn his badges. Like actually, not the like, you know what?
Let me give it to you anyway.
Yeah, I don't want to battle you again. You won a battle, so sure, why not?
The Brock one also bugs me because he used you can't use a sprinkler.
Hey fam, that one was dope. I wish they did more stuff like that.
I mean, it was cool, but it's like, also not. I don't know if it's fair or not in that world.
It's not fair. It's 100% not fair. But it would be cool if you could do that because, like, that's using your environment. Yep. That'd be dope. Let me do it.
Yeah, man. All right. Last but not least, we got Dreamer Tim who says #Team Grookey. Great video. I would love to have a Galar/Kalos region or Kalos situation here, but I'm afraid we got our expectations way too high again. We've already seen the trailer. Isn't it just showing us what to expect? Do Pokemon Company ever exceed the expectations? I really hope for Kalos, but I'll be playing Pokemon Sword anyhow, and that might be the point.
Yes, they do. Frequently. They didn't parade out that Kanto was in Gen 2.
When did we actually find that out?
When they first revealed that. It was like closer to like when the game came out / maybe not even then.
Was that maybe because they still didn't know if it was going to be in there though?
Probably. But still, there's precedent for them not being like, hey, here's everything. And they didn't talk about like, like the Delta episode for Pokemon Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. They usually don't like talk a lot about the post game. So it wouldn't surprise me if they didn't say anything about it. Also, they haven't really told us everything to expect from this game. This is like the reveal that people typically don't. I mean, that Pokemon Company doesn't typically say anything.
Right.
Like we wouldn't even have the starters right now traditionally. So I'd imagine that they have a lot more to talk about that we don't know just yet. Whether or not it's something that big, I don't know. But it's possible.
It's going to be something. It's just a question of, expectations versus reality, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, that's another thing that, like, I struggle with these videos with the response to these videos from some people, where it's like they'll comment and be like, you're just getting your hopes too high, and then you'll be mad. It's like, you clearly don't know me if you think that I'll be mad if because I know they're not going to do 90% of the things that I want them to do, but that's not going to stop me from talking about it. And it's not like Nintendo has some type of problem with it, clearly. Like if they didn't like the fact that I'm always like, yo, shoot for the stars, here's all the stuff that you could do that would be really cool, and it's realistic in terms of like what's possible. It's not like I'm saying, yo, I want Pokemon to be 8K on the Nintendo Switch. I don't want to buy a new console for that. I want it to be 97 hours long,
VR,
and I want it to Yeah, exactly. I want it to be VR. I want the headset to be also 8K. You know, like, I'm not saying stuff that just like couldn't happen. It's just what people also want, but they like temper their own expectations because they think they'll be disappointed or angry that what they wanted isn't what happened. But I'm very capable of separating those two things, where it's like, hey, this would be neat. And I find more joy in seeing like, oh, this one thing did happen, you know? Where it's like I made a video about Breath of the Wild before it was Breath of the Wild. And like, hey, if they did X, Y, and Z, that'd be dope. And most of that came true.
Yeah, because Breath of the Wild is the best.
That's all I'm saying. So, I mean, sometimes everything's wrong and you're like, they're not going to be able to exceed your expectations. But that time that they did, I'm right, and I can say that I was right, and I can say I predicted it, and you all were dumb, and you didn't believe me.
Yep. But as you guys are telling us that we're dumb, you will also ask us questions. You can ask us questions lots of places. AJ asked ahead of time on Twitter and on the community post on YouTube and on Discord and all those places. You can ask us any of these kinds of questions, and we will give you answers of some variety.
Yeah, I gotta ask earlier than that because I was talking to Dan, or Dan more accurately was talking to me. Me and Bob. And he's like, "Hey, the community post thing that might be a good thing to do." And I'm like, "Oh, you're right. Maybe I should use that. I have a podcast. I could post about that on there." And it's like sometimes I do, but usually I don't. Yeah. I have no real reason why. I should just do that. But I need to like. The main thing is that I can't schedule it, so it's like
you have to do it in the moment whenever.
Yes, it's so dumb. So it's like it would just be easier if I can schedule it while it's on my mind already. But that usually just happens when we're like compiling everything, and it's like, oh shoot, I got to get questions, you know. But next week, I'm going to post it earlier. I'm going to try to do it after Logan's video. So you got a long
I feel like it was
up.
about then, though, because, it was sometime yesterday that you posted it, I'm pretty sure.
It was yesterday at like 10 o'clock or something like that. Like, it was like pretty late.
It was, I saw Captain Marvel last night, by the way. I saw it as I was getting out of there in that case.
Oh, snaps. Yeah. I didn't see it. I need to see it. I'm probably not going to see it. Let's be real. I usually only see like the I'm going to see Endgame, right? Yeah. Like the stuff that like really matters. So like if I find I'm gonna talk to Will, I'm like, Will, do I have to see this movie? And he was like, yeah, you gotta see it. I'm probably gonna see it. But like stuff like Ant-Man, I didn't see Ant-Man. And I completely understood what was happening in Infinity War, you know? Like that type of stuff I usually don't see. I can
safely say I thought it was a great movie. I don't think it won't have been necessary specifically for Endgame. It's more just like character arc, backstory, like that, and a good movie and like an origin story and all that kind of stuff. But as far as like Endgame goes, nah, you'll be fine.
Yeah, no, I'm probably not gonna do that. Maybe when it comes out on Disney, whatever their thing is called. Maybe
are you gonna subscribe to that?
Possibly, I don't know. Disney has a lot of stuff, man. They're Disney.
They really do. Yeah, I'll think it depends. Honestly, it depends on what their shows are, I think, because like I can stand to not watch movies and blah, 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 and all that kind of thing. But like their Loki show that they're going to do and all that kind of stuff. Like my wife loves Loki. She really likes anti-hero type characters. And so we'll see. But yeah, question Q&A is what we had. Get back to that. Sorry to derail us with Captain Marvel. At Domo Sword on Twitter asks, what is your quest? AJ, what is your quest?
To catch and battle and train them all. To be the very best like no one ever was.
Is that your real test? To train them is your cause?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Nice.
What's yours?
To get 900 Korok seeds.
I thought you were going to say something stupid like play a new Golden Sun or something.
I mean, I take back the Korok seeds because that's a lie. Golden Sun's way more accurate. I got as many Korok seeds as I needed to fill out all the slots in Breath of the Wild because I was like, why not? Like, it's something to do, and there's a reward for it. But there is no way I'm getting the rest of those Korok seeds. just...
I'm not doing it. It's not going to happen. And I never even thought about doing it. Like, it was never even a part of, like, even before, and I'm not going to say what it is, but, like, I know what happens when you get all of them. And, like, even before all that, it wasn't worth it for me. I was like, I don't care about that. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do what I need to do and be done with the game.
I think it's one of those things where, like, people were mad at what the reward is because it's, like, so low-key, doesn't matter, and whatever, you know. But I think it's one of those things where I'm glad that they didn't make the reward that great. It's kind of a similar point in my mind to last week when we were talking about Pokemon and the battling wild Pokemon versus just catching mechanic, where if one of them that I think is a little bit dumb is like over rewarded, then it'll make me, at least, I don't really care about anybody else in this argument's sake. Just for me, I would feel like I should do the thing that will give me the reward. So if I knew that the reward for the 900 Korok seeds...
I think everybody would feel like that for something like that, though. Like, for sure. Like, I think that the Pokemon thing specifically is maybe a bit more targeted to you and people that also feel like they need to, like, be the most optimized in their playthroughs. But something where it's like, this is, like, a big reward. You gotta get the big reward. I mean, if it was like the Hylian Shield was locked behind 900 Korok seeds, I would have got 900 Korok seeds for sure. I mean, it would have been annoying for some of it, but I still would have done it. But knowing, like, so I like that they gave a bit of a lame reward. So it's like, don't even worry about it. Like, it's fun. If you did it, here you go. Have fun. But at the same time... It's definitely their way of saying, like, and I think we talked about me and Logan on an older episode of this, where he was like, how he feels about Mario versus how he feels about Breath of the Wild. Where it's like, for him, Mario wasn't as like fun long term or whatever. Yeah. But it's because he was looking for this like in game, like, you did the thing, you know, and that's your reward versus like, you did the thing, and that was fun, wasn't it? You know? Whereas,
exactly. For me, Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild, both of them, by the time, like, after I did the objectives of sort, I was using little objectives in the game to, like, I want to get that moon because it's going to be fun to get that moon, and it just... I need to have something to aim towards, so getting a moon is going to be that thing.
It's like eating some type of pasta, right? And you have, like, bread... And they're like, man, this sauce is so good, I'm going to stop up all the sauce with the bread.
Absolutely.
That's what it is.
That's exactly what it is, which is exactly what I do, because I friggin' love pasta sauce. Spaghetti's really good.
This is true.
So yeah, that's my quest. My quest is spaghetti sauce in game form. Good question, Domo Sword. It was a troll question, but, well, not troll, not mean troll, but, you know, fun troll. And you did it. Good, congratulations. Grimhane, what is a wolf den? Who is a bab?
I don't know.
Cool.
Do you know?
Not even. Nope. Sure don't. Lethal asks, how long will Epic Yarn take to beat when one-handed? I'm not sure I get the question.
He's saying that like Kirby's toothless. So
of course.
That's what he's saying.
Gotcha. Yes.
I beat the first world in like an hour, maybe. I don't feel like the game is too short because there is like, or is going to be too short. I don't know how many worlds are in this game. I think that the game is going to be a good length because there's a lot of stuff that I didn't get playing the Devilish run because I'm like, I gotta beat it. I'm not going to die. Can't die. What? You crazy? But if you go and you try to collect everything, you will 100% die several times in this game. It's going to happen. It's going to happen to you.
Nice.
If you're playing the Devilish mode.
Which is good. I think that's the thing, is part of the thing in Kirby Star Allies, in the little bit that I played of it, was like, 100%ing everything is more just annoying than it is challenging. It's like, you just have to go out of your way to go do things, but it's not like you're puzzling to find out how to do those things or trying harder to do those things and not die while doing it.
Yeah, I played through the entirety of Kirby Star Allies without dying even once.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. No, that's true. I can't even think, like, the times that I've played it, I can't think of a way that I would have died.
And this is like, how old was she?
How old was Kirby?
6,
Kirby's a boy.
7. No,
Come
no,
on,
I was
AJ.
talking-
You don't know. Fake gamer.
Not Kirby. I'm talking about my niece. I played this game with my niece, and she was fine. You know, like it wasn't like this thing of like how does this work or whatever. Like she got bored.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Yeah.
So that's a problem.
There it is.
It's an issue.
So yeah, Eric Henley on the community post, which is what we were talking about just a minute ago, asked, do you think Nintendo would integrate the VR somehow into Pokemon Let's Go or the mainline game this year?
No. Just because that's not really a Nintendo call.
Right.
That's if Game Freak wants to do it, and I don't think Game Freak cares about Labo.
And yeah, even to want to do it, and they just have higher priority things too. So even if they were like, oh, that would be cool, which I don't think is their MO right now, I think they would still probably not do it just because of timing aspects of it. And like, whatever. Like, we've got bigger fish to fry.
I don't know if Game Freak operates like that though. I think Game Freak is like, hey, you want to make a game about an elephant? Okay, yeah, let's do that. so I think that they definitely have like bandwidth to do like small things like that. It just doesn't seem like one of their priorities. They don't really care about whether or not, like, they were talking about they might not support the Nintendo Switch. You know, like they didn't put a mainline Pokemon game on a console for forever. You know. They don't care about that. They're just like, will this work for us?
Which is so weird to me. Like, I don't know. That just seems like a fake friend in some ways, where it's like, yeah, like I'll hang out with you, but like as soon as you stop paying my gas bill, I'm not going to hang out with you anymore. I don't know, like something dumb where it's like,
I mean, it's true, man. It's true.
Weird.
It's true. Yeah. Game Freak does what Game Freak wants. The only thing that they can't do is put Pokemon on a different console. Yeah. That's the only thing that Nintendo's like, nope, that's not happening. This is where I use my power.
Do you think
you're not
if
doing
they
it?
could have,
They can tell Game Freak not to do things. They can't tell Game Freak to do things.
Yeah,
it's basically how it breaks down.
Okay. Yeah. No. So yeah, I agree. I don't suspect that they'll integrate the VR. I think what you mentioned earlier is right, that they'll integrate the VR into something, whether that be somehow into Mario Kart or just an experience in a different game or something like that. There was some rumor that somehow in Smash Bros, and I don't understand how, unless it's something kind of like Ultra Street Fighter 2 was, when
you know what they do? They do it with they bring back trophies and they do it like that.
Just that, like, you look at the trophies.
Yeah. It's an experience.
Yeah, there you go.
And everybody wants the trophies.
Accurate.
So there we
go. So yeah, but good question, Eric. Always asking those good questions. Griffin Frey asks, will Nintendo ever experiment with Will Nintendo ever experiment with be outside of Labo and incorporate it with their mainline games? Phrasing. With
outside.
I mean, I guess the gist seems to be, will they, with maybe like IPs outside of Labo, so like will they use Labo in their mainline games? Like Yoshi, would there be integration into, I mean, not specifically Yoshi, but that kind of a thing? That was rumored for a little, or suspected for a little bit, that they're like, we're going to do some Labo things with this mainline game.
Yeah. I think that they really care about Labo. It's possible that if this doesn't do well, that they won't do anything else with it. But it wouldn't be the first time that Nintendo's like, nah, we're going to support this because we had a plan for it and we're going to see that through.
Yeah.
I.e. the Wii U being supported for 5 years. So. Hey,
yeah, I think it's, I mean, kind of like you were alluding at too, is I think it depends on kind of what their motivation for Labo is at this point, like whether because it hasn't done super well they are therefore giving up on it, or if they will therefore leverage IPs of their own to make Labo do better. Like, do they care about keeping Labo around in and of itself as a thing for longer than, you know, VR stuff goes, which I think we'll only find out in my mind, again, with having said that, I think this was their last plan, like specifically thought of and planned one from the get-go. I bet if there's a Labo Kit 5, then we're in for it for a while. Would be my guess. And then in that case, probably that they'd end up doing something with their mainline IPs. But, well, I don't know. Mainline games is different, I guess, than I was just thinking with IPs. And I guess it's a question of how much work it would take to integrate it with Yoshi or something like that.
And I don't even know if Yoshi isn't something that they already had, because it just seems like a Labo thing.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So I don't know, man.
I think we would have found out about it by now, though, if it were.
Because they have like a Labo reference. Like they have like, he's like in the Labo like piano or something like that. So like, I don't know, man.
I mean, and, you know, maybe it's one of those things they already have planned as integration. Because I mean, they already have incorporated it with their mainline games as far as the ones we've mentioned before. Mario Kart, for example, maybe just Mario Kart. Right. I don't remember. But maybe they have plans to integrate it with Yoshi. The question is, would they do a separate release for a game like Yoshi, I wonder? Because it seems pretty easy for them to be like, hey, also, you know, if you do this mode in Yoshi and you have the Labo Kit already, then you can do blah, 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 blah. But I guess, would they come up with a separate thing for it? I don't know.
Who knows?
Last but not least, something that only we know until now. Ultimate Elite Mountain asked on Discord, favorite childhood memory. Actually, he didn't ask it. He just said, favorite childhood memory. Just letting us know that there is such a thing.
Deep. I don't know. Let's see.
I read this. I'll go ahead and go if you don't have anything. I read this question earlier, and then I just reminisced for a while because, you know, that's a thing. So I've got a couple. Gaming-wise, I'll say playing Pokemon Blue. I was on our way to a zoo one day. It was like far away. It was like 2 hours away was the closest zoo to us. And we were on our way there, and I was playing Pokemon Blue. And something about that is just very like, yeah, it was great. And I remember I was using the rare candy cheat, and so I had a level 100 Venusaur and was like, this is so cool that I've got a level 100 Venusaur. And it was just happy. So as far as gaming one goes, there's one for you.
You picked the dumb one. You picked the dumb Pokemon. That doesn't even make any sense. You got Pokemon Blue and used Venusaur.
I mean, it was like my fourth or fifth playthrough at that point in the 1 year that I had it.
Gross. Mine's also Pokemon related. It's like the first thing that came to mind, but it's not like a particular, like, it's not even like crazy different from like how I experienced most Pokemon games, like even the recent ones. But I had Pokemon Fire Red, and this would happen a lot where I would get like multiple copies of it, multiple copies of every game, because like I just had a lot of family that's like, he likes games, why not give him a game? So I gave my extra copy of Fire Red to my older brother, and we played through that, and like we played through the first region, and like that was one of the things, like we didn't know Sebby Islands was part of it, and then we got through that and we're like, yo, we gotta beat Sebby Islands immediately. So we like ran through Sebby Islands like within the day, and we did something and got in trouble and got the game taken away. I just remember that. But speaking of that, I'm probably going to play this game, Sword and Shield, with my brother too.
Nice.
But he needs to buy a Switch, so I told him, I was like, you gotta buy a Switch.
Do you think you're going to get Sword or Shield, or do you know?
I'm probably going to get both. I got
True
Pokemon, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I don't know, because last time I gave away the other copy. I'm probably going to give the other copy to you, but I don't know. It depends on if you want Sword or Shield or not, and what you're going to do with that. Because I want Sword. Probably, but who knows? Who knows?
My other one, I'll just say, was just thinking about it. My mom would read books to me a lot, like before going to bed, and just her reading me The Hobbit before bed is something that I remember and I'm very, very fond of. So that's a thing.
Man, you're a nerd. No, I'm joking.
I mean, yeah. I'm on this podcast, so like,
that's the joke. That's the joke.
I know. It is funny. I think in my mind,
like, well, multiple people genuinely get offended every time I say that. It's like, but why though? Like, is that not a clear joke?
No, I mean, it's funny. I I don't even remember what I was. Oh, I remember what it was that I was thinking about it in context of is my friend who is on the other podcast I was doing before this one with me is he does Geeks Who Drink, which is a trivia thing. And so every Tuesday he goes to this bar and hosts it at the thing. But all the guys that like are the regulars there at the bar don't like it at all. Even the manager doesn't like it. Just the owner that doesn't even work there but just owns the place pays for it, and the manager's like, oh, it's these nerds coming in here again or whatever. And it was funny, he was telling me about it today and like how they just don't like it. And when he mentioned that one of them said something about these nerds or something like that, I have a not quite disdain, but like something like that for people who call people nerds in a derogatory way. Like, just, I'm like, you're not the kind of person that I am on any kind of level with most of the time. Like, just because
it just is like kind of an outdated term at this point. Because like you can't on some level not be right. One, like
maybe
unless
you're a NASCAR nerd. Like, I don't know, that's still some kind of a nerd.
Yeah, if you're not one, turns out in 2019 you're less cool. Right. Like if people are like all saying like, yo, I'm so hyped for Avengers Endgame, yo, spoilers, you're a nerd, my dude. Yeah, I'm sorry to tell you, I'm sorry to break it to you, but
yeah, I'm with you.
People are weird.
Other thing with you, come with us into the future of Fanatics 4 and directly to you. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment and all that stuff. If you ask questions down here, we'll try to go back to last week to this week's episode next week and answer those. But otherwise, just keep subscribed and posted and whatever on Twitter and YouTube and Discord and all that stuff, and we will ask some questions and all that kind of stuff and get to interact with you. And thanks so much for listening. Any closing thoughts?
How dare you take the outro from me, Parker?
I said any closing thoughts.
Well, bye. My closing thoughts are sometimes podcasting is double Dutch, and if you don't say the outro, Parker's going to take it. Goodbye.